already 16 people in the waiting room.
We got a lot of them waiting. Technical difficulties. Welcome everybody. We're back with the Barons Club podcast. This is actually the 5th episode. A nice turnaround that we do it with, you know, the real Barons of this game. So we're back, me, Sam, and Enko for one more round. By the way, this is possibly the last time you'll see the three of us in a podcast of this setting, just because Enko here is getting ready to be deployed, which, Enko, I want to give you like a minute or two, kind of just talk about, you know, what's going through the next few months, and then we'll get started on our topics.
All right, guys. Yeah, so I'm getting deployed at beginning of July. My report date for training is next month, so so internet will be kind of iffy once I'm actually in theater, though. So I will have internet. It's going to be 10 megabytes a second for $300 a month.
$300? No way. No way. No. You gotta be joking.
Nope.
10 megabytes for $300.
There's no
That's
data
more than
cap.
some people's rent, man.
I know. There's no data cap at least. Or I could get $145 for 4 megs a month.
I'd definitely say, like, start
No,
with the
that's
4.
mad. That's actually mad.
Start with the 4 megabyte package and see if it's.
Yeah, that's the plan. So the first month I'm going to get the 4 meg one, just see is it at least a stable connection, and then if it's okay, I'll go up to 10 for $300 a month. But yeah, I should still be able to be on Discord. I should still be able to watch streams. I definitely can't stream from there, because of OPSEC reasons and all that kind of stuff. But hopefully I'll still be able to play some online games. So I'll just have some really bad ping. I might transfer to EU for Guild Wars while I'm over there.
Oh, nice.
You should.
You could say hi to Soul.
Then we can actually raid together. You can carry me. Isn't that beautiful?
I'm not sure if I'm gonna do raids because my ping's gonna be so bad. Maybe
I'll
still be able to do like.
This will probably be like the final, or finally you'll get to see Enko really become a proper Baron, which is basically AFKing on the trading post, you know, and not doing raids while also having gold coming in from the trading post. So you'll basically live up to the moniker.
Yeah, I think I'm planning on going in and just like catching up on all of the achievements. Because I haven't really finished the map achievements since some like the Living Story like season 3 maps. So I'll go through all those. I'll probably get like 3,000 AP.
Oh wow. Well, anyway, so you know, we've very much wanted to get this done underway. You know, we talked a lot about like the previous podcast. We brushed up over like stuff like rewards to do with raids. We went over PvP, world versus world. And we've also talked about some of the gold sinks that the game has introduced, particularly with materials, right? A lot of matte sinks have come in Icebrood Saga, which all three of us agreed kind of was a nice step in the right direction. Whoever the economist of the game is at the moment. I feel like continuing from that discussion while also starting to get into new topics definitely would help us with this podcast. So with that being said, I want to start off by, again, we're almost at the end of the Icebrood Saga content. Like, we have one more update coming up. And of course, we know that at this point, right, stuff like the Armory, stuff like alliances, things that were supposed to be like, I'm not saying Alliance was guaranteed in Icebrood, but stuff like Armory was supposed to be kind of that like expansion game-changing content that they promised for Icebrood, right? And we know that's probably, if any case, that's going to happen in the expansion at this point. What were you guys thinking of, like, you know, does that change the time frame for people? And how do you see the legendary market? How do you see the material market in particular, stuff with armor? Those materials, how are those affected now that the trajectory is like, it's not happening in Icebrood, it's happening 6 months down the line? You see the stuff going up, do you see the stuff going down? You see the interest going there or not?
We're talking specifically for Legendary Armory, how that's going to affect things?
Yeah, because, you know, it goes through all the materials and everything that's involved with that, right?
So I guess my viewpoint on Legendary is like what's going to happen with those. I think initially, okay, a lot of this is also predicated on how Anet implements it as far as like monetization, like how much it's going to cost people to use Armory, or if it's just like, hey, you bought into Dragons, here's Armory, it's just part of the package. If it's like that, where it's just like, hey, everybody's got access to it, and it's not a big I don't want to say money grab because I mean, Arena's a company, they do need to make money. But if it's available to everybody for either a minimal cost or it's just free, I think that there will be a general increase in interest on legendaries. I think prices will spike initially, and then probably after like, I think it'll spike a lot like in the first like 2 months because anybody who has the funds will just buy the legendaries that they want, and then it'll taper off, and it'll probably be a little higher than it is right now. Like when it finally settles out, because people will actually be trying to get legendaries even if they don't have them right now. I don't think they'll crash. I think they'll crash maybe. I think they'll start going down after like another like 2 years of the game still around. Just because at some point people are going to have all the legendaries that they want, and then it's not going to be consumed anymore. I think that this is also predicated on that we don't get Gen 3s. So it's only Gen 1s and Gen 2s that are still in the game. So I think a lot of people will just get the minimal Guild Wars or the minimal legendaries that they need for their account for other characters. I think there may be a bigger push for legendary armor from people. So maybe we'll see an increase in people doing raids or buying raids even. I can't. People shouldn't buy raids, but it is what it is. So yeah, I do think prices will go up initially, but they'll start to taper down. They'll be higher than what they are now for probably a couple years, and then it'll eventually start reaching the heat death of the economy, and then it'll probably crash.
Yeah.
In the meanwhile, the other materials that are used to support legendaries, Ectos, Mystic Coins, for Gen 2s like Mithril and Elderwood, those will probably all see a nice increase at the initial launch. But again, that all depends on how they monetize it. Like if this is a case where it's just like you have to buy legendary armory, like if it's like build templates, you have to buy armory access for every single slot, or you have to buy it for every single character, then it would be I think it'll fail. If they just go to like,
that's not gonna happen.
I really hope they don't. I mean, they could.
Yeah, so
It should work just like shared inventory slots. Like you
Yes.
get them, they're on the account. Like that's the way it should work. Because if they make it character bound, then it's going to be a fiasco. People already mildly rioted around build templates and equipment templates, but that was because most of the people who were going to need a lot were the people who were using Arc, were already used to having an infinite amount of build templates, so to speak. So to the average casual player, that was an improvement. They didn't have anything, and they had something. But when it comes to the armory, everyone is expecting something. So if they come up and say, yo, 1 per account, everyone's just going to go mad. They're going to alienate everyone, because not everyone had 3 or more builds per character, but everyone has more than 1 character on their accounts.
Yes.
That is where the difference is.
I mean, that was also the problem with build templates, right? People were like, why do I have to pay for that many? And I think a lot of people were like, yeah, it's a lot of money grabbing and stuff like that. And I told people, I mean, if you're the casual player of a game, that you're not gonna need more than 3 builds, right? 1 W-dub, 1 or 2 for PvE, right? And and it was really more towards those hardcore players who they would have at least 3-4 builds that they would use in PvE. They'd have 2-3 builds just for raids and such, like more than that. I mean, people easily have like 10-12 builds, right? So but then again, yes, I think one point that Enko did say is that whether or not we get Gen 3, that will determine how fast this market goes on a downhill path, which Sam, you're also going to talk about something briefly related to that with the build template before I cut you off.
No, like you didn't cut me off. I said what I was thinking about the build templates, which was that we had an issue because players, when it came to build templates, wanted something more than what Arenanet had in mind. Like build templates, it's either you didn't have any because you were a casual player not using the Arc templates, or you had as many as you wanted because you were a more hardcore player using the Arc DPS templates. And there was no in between. There was no middle ground player using just 1 template. No, it's either you had Arc or you didn't. And then when they released the build templates for everyone, all the players who had nothing got something, so they were happy. All the players who had Arc and Infinite templates, which means a very reduced amount of people, they got a downgrade from what they had. So only those people got mad. Everyone else was happy because everyone else got something for free. See, that's where the difference is. So if the Armory, which is supposed to be a main feature of the next expansion pack at this point, it's going to be a feature from EOD. If it comes out, it's half-assed, or you need to pay for it extra on top of buying the X pack, everyone gonna be mad. Because in HOT, we had gliding. In Path of Fire, we had mounts. So far, they haven't teased the EOD. We don't know if we're gonna have something specific to diving, maybe. Who knows? So at this point, it's like the Armory would be a selling factor, like gliding and mounts were. If the Armory is half-assed or behind an extra paywall on top of paying for the expansion, they're just going to screw it all up.
So someone brought up a good point in chat. Valk was saying, but again, cheaper to buy character slot and equip template plus build template. I would say, I mean, for maybe some players that can be a cheap scenario, but for a lot of players who would rather have those extra slots to actually store stuff, like, I don't know. I mean, I can't say the majority of the players in the game, you know, hold materials or things that they expect to do stuff with, right? Because that's a very small niche part of the game. But there are probably other players who also would rather have the slots for, you know, something else to store. I don't know. It could be something other stuff, like stuff that they're saving to do a weapon, or stuff that they're saving to do a armor or something, right? Recipes, whatever it is. So I feel like while that could appeal to a lot of casuals as a cheaper option, a lot of veterans might not be in the same boat about that, because simply they'd rather the space be used to something that they might need, right? And as we know in this game, space is everything, right? So I guess it's a counter point.
Yeah, so on that point, so there's a lot of things you could do in this game that are cheaper to do otherwise. The equipment templates and the build templates, it's not because, oh, well, you can just make another character with and have those builds on it, because every character gets 3 builds, right, for free. It's more of that if you got equipment templates and build templates, it was a convenience factor that's like, oh, look, if I only have one Revenant, right? I can have my raid builds on there. I can have my fractal build. I can have a worldless world build. I could have a PvP setup. I can have an open world setup on one character, and I can swap to them easily. Well, Revenant's a bad example because templates break on Revenant, but replace it with Ellie. But you can have all your different builds and templates on one thing. And with how legendary weapons and armor work right now, it's just like, okay, I can equip all this stuff in one, and I only have to have one armor set to cover every build I have, because I could just equip them on all one character. So yeah, you can make another character, and then you have to equip another character. But it also means you have to change characters and everything like that. So it's more of a convenience thing. It's like build templates aren't required. It's supposed to be a convenience, quality of life thing, which they then monetize in a horrible way.
I would add an extra thing. Yeah, I would add an extra thing about this, Enko. Like you were talking about the matter of convenience, and I think it's also a matter of how far you are into the game, whether you've just started or you've been playing for a while. People like you and I, we have legendaries, multiple legendaries, a legendary for each weapon slot on a character. For people like us, it makes much more sense to have maxed out build templates, because we, with our set of legendaries, can cover anything on the character. But for someone who needs to have multiple sets and are going to have to keep these sets in the inventory, and it's going to eventually take some space, because you're not going to have everything sorted out perfectly on each of your templates. Maybe you're going to swap stuff out here and there. They're going to need more inventory space, and they're probably not going to have all these legendaries. So for these kind of people, where you're still, starting in the game, it makes more sense to have more characters, because it's so easy to get ascended gear. Yeah, like, I mean, you need to pick it off the ground.
I mean, also, to add to that point, is also realistically, I mean, a lot of casual players really, again, they would rather have the space, like you said, with the character, rather than having to use build templates, which they may or may not actually use all of them, but at most I could see someone has the 3 free ones that come anyway, and then like they maybe add on to that, but nothing more than that, right? So yeah, it's just really, yeah, thank you so much for the host, Trip. But it's just, yeah, like you said, maybe not something that they would necessarily need compared to someone like you guys, who is more or less, they have a lot of builds that they have to like actually save, and it's just a hassle when you're in a raid group that's expected, to perform quickly, or, a lot of high-end players, usually in raid groups, they would at least think that like the other raiders in their group have easy access to switch to a build at a moment's notice, right? So
yeah, it's like templates have their own issues, and I think how Arc had been doing it was great. I think the only issue with the Arc templates was that 500 millisecond delay that Delta had to put in because Anet demanded that he put some kind of timer delay into it, so it wasn't like basically to simulate how fast it would take for somebody else to like just normally manually swap it. But yeah, I don't know. The main restriction, the problem with templates right now is cost, and that the fact we're limited to 6 on a character. Because as Sam mentioned earlier, 6 is either too many for the people that don't use them, or it's too few for the people that do use them. So it's like I also don't understand why Anet doesn't want our money. Like if I want to buy 20 build templates or equipment templates on a character, why not? Like why is Anet preventing me from spending money on them? Like money I want to spend on them, right? Like
maybe it's a matter of limitations, like because that's something we haven't touched on. I think like there is always a limit to the amount of stuff you can buy. Maybe because that's the limit that they can handle on a given. No, maybe not even server. Like on like I don't know, character data or something. Like maybe there is a limit that they set, which was you can't get over that amount of backslots. Of individual back slots, or you can't get over that amount of bank slots. Like there is a set limit, and they won't increase that, or they can't increase it. Who knows? I mean, everyone says their code is spaghetti, and even though I really like Italian cuisine, I believe that means that they really don't have a hand if they want to change something. So if they have early on set a limit and they can't change it without fucking something up, then we're just stuck with that.
Okay, so
I mean,
as far as limits go, like somebody said like, well, if they gave us 10, people will fill it and then complain there's no more room. Well, yeah, there's going to be a limit. Like honestly, how many build templates would I need for a character? So let's see. For my druid, for instance, I have
don't talk about the druid,
22 build templates I use for raids, because I have a separate template for every encounter and for like the different pre-events.
Yeah.
Okay.
22.
So that's life, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. See, I'll even show you my little setup with my stream deck.
Like I have.
That's just a lot, man. I mean,
I used to do the same.
Again, like this is the whole point of this talk, right? The whole argument of this. What in the actual?
Yeah, I have it on my screen. So I have all these buttons set up for this.
Why?
Shit's mad.
I mean, I like this is the whole point of this argument, right? Is that like again, like it's not enough, but at the same time, for a large majority, it really isn't that much of a problem, right?
Yeah.
But then you also have.
It's not.
But MM is the extreme minority right there. I mean, not MM. Enko is the extreme minority right there. Yeah. Like, there are maybe 30 people in the game who are going to actually bother to play Druid on that extent.
Well, that's
true. There's no more than that.
If we talk about all of them, it's,
okay. If we talk
Chronos,
about all of
I
them,
probably have
maybe
like 15 setups.
Maybe there are 200 players in the game who are hardcore enough to care about doing this. Okay. 200 players. That's what I'm saying. I think no more than that.
Yeah. So, but that was the beauty of the Arc DPS templates, was it didn't have a limit. You can make as many templates as you wanted, right? There was no limitation on it because it just saved all that stuff on your computer. Like for the Guild Wars 2 templates, they have them set up on the UI on your equipment, on your hero panel. I think that there's enough space for at least 10. Like if you go to your build panel, there's space there for like another 4 slots. Like you could have 10 there. If they wanted 20, then they could just make a second row. Like there's definitely UI space on there. Now, are there system restrictions on like, oh, we can't do this, or do they just say like, oh, we felt 6 was enough and that was fine? I think what they should have done was they should either keep the price the way they are and then make them account-wide purchases, or increase the slots, or actually I think they should increase slots, period. Or they should have decreased the price by half and then kept it as like individual characters like that. But yeah, with Armory, like what are they going to do? Like a lot of like what I was talking about, legendary prices going up and how a lot is going to depend on implementation, how they do it. I know one big concern that a lot of people have said is that it's like, oh, okay, so I can use my legendary armor on all my characters on my account. Does that mean I'm stuck using the same skin on all my characters? Like, oh, I have this legendary armor here. However, it's skinned and dyed. It shows up on like that on every single character that uses it. People are going to hate that, especially like when the true end game of Guild Wars 2 is Fashion Wars, right? So, if they do that, where it's like you use a transportation charge or you dye it, and then that's how it shows up on any character that equips it, like it's gonna fail. Like people are gonna hate it. It's gonna be such a terrible implementation.
Oh yeah, because
like,
people are
I've mentioned
expecting
this.
that you could save it towards that specific character, right? Whatever you do,
Yes,
that look is pretty much, if you do it on this character, you had these settings equipped in the hero panel for it, done. And then for the other character,
yeah.
But then again,
well,
like
I think it should be per template slot actually, even because right now, if you have legendary armor equipped on a character and you have it set to different builds for each slot, you still have the same look and dye. It doesn't, because you're still using the same piece of gear. It's just changing the settings on it. So that's still problematic. Now imagine doing that account wide. You have a light armor. Now every single one of your light armor characters looks exactly the same.
I felt that. Like when you said earlier, I'm gonna hate that if everything looks the same. I felt it.
Yeah.
I have this thing where I can't, in my head, allow my characters to wear the same armor. It's like whenever I make a heavy class armor, I'm like, which piece have I not used so far amongst all of my wardrobe? What can I do? And it gets horrible. It really does.
But I mean, although then that's really depending on the limitations of what they could do with this armory, right? Because I honestly think while it's a good theory for some of these things to like, okay, your armory is going to be tailored to per character and things like that. That's just, I mean, I don't want to say it's not realistic, but it's very difficult to really tailor it to that specific criteria. Everything that you save on this character, that's what you're getting on this character. It's not going to be account-wide saved across all your lights or your mediums or your heavy. And
it'll depend on they implement it.
Yeah.
So I have a perfect solution for them, which I don't think would require a lot of coding time because it's something that they could do in-game right now. They already do it for a lot of other stuff. Give us a vendor. Like this kind of thing should be able to implement very quickly. They add a vendor to the game that you chart it, like you turn in a legendary piece. Like you turn in your light legendary helm. It unlocks light legendary helm on your account. And then from that vendor, you can purchase as many light legendary helms as you want, which you could then put in every single slot on whatever character you can equip it for. And they're separate items so that they can be dyed separately and they could be skinned separately. And you could get that separate item for free.
That's like, it
doesn't cost you anything.
That's like kind of using the transmutation charge idea, right? In some way, but you're talking about specifically to the skin, not to the charge itself.
Well, yeah, so you would have to skin it and you have to dye it separately. But what this will let you do easily is that you could skin them and dye them separately, and you could use as many times as you want, which accomplishes what Armory is supposed to do. So, and they could do that right now. This wouldn't take any additional coding on their part. It would just take them reusing current code because they have that implemented for other things where you turn in something and then you could just buy it. It unlocks and you just buy it.
Yeah. Someone's saying the solution I came up with is to create virtual templates / inventory with legendaries equipped that basically clones the items per character. That's basically what Enko just said, actually, in some way.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then
the thing with your solution is some people are going to be mad about it because they're going to be like, I unlocked the armor multiple times, or I crafted the armor in PvP and War vs. Sword and PvE, like your solution of kind of like getting a new version of the item is not going to be okay. Because if you get a new version of the item, you get extra convenience. Because that means you can set it differently on each characters. Whereas I think when it comes to the armory, it's going to be like you put an item in the armory, then when you swap to a character, it's going to be whatever you last stored it as that's going to be remembered. Then you still need to set it up or to reswap a build template. Like you're skipping a step with your solution. And I think Arenanet would not let that happen because they're going to be afraid that some people will complain.
What's the
they
issue?
Are afraid.
What
like,
issue are you talking
if I understood
about?
If I understood what you said correctly, what you did with that is I go to a vendor, I exchange my current armor, and I get a new piece of it, right? So let's say I turn in one piece of legendary armor, and I can get back as many as I want.
Yeah, or basically it just detects on your account like, oh, you've created this legendary armor piece. It's unlocked on your account. You go to the vendor, whatever you've unlocked on your account, the vendor will give you multiple. You get as many copies as you want.
Yeah, right. So that means you can basically duplicate the armor, right? You can put it on as many characters as you want.
Yes, and I think because of like twice told legend and stuff like that, the duplicate item you get back should be a separate item code. So that way, you can't turn in a bolt and then get two copies of the bolt back to unlock twice told legend. You turn in a bolt, or you still have your bolt. You still have your bolt legendary. It's unlocked in your account, so you could buy copies of it from the vendor. But the copied ones from the vendor will have a different ID code, so they won't trigger twice told legend. So if you want twice told legend, you still have to get two bolts.
I think that this won't happen because it would mean that you can actually.
It's too easy for Arenanet. That's why.
No. Because Arenanet has managed to miss, like, to, let's say, I wanted to use a very mean word and say something like fuck up, but that would be wrong. Arenanet managed to do things wrong before.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. This is too easy of a solution.
No. So they're afraid of making a mistake again, right? So they won't do that because that would be a mistake. Because some people will be mad. Because let's say I go to that NPC, I have full medium armor unlocked on my ranger. So I go in, I put all my medium armor, I get full set of medium armor back that I put on, I don't know, my thief. I don't play it, whatever. Or my engineer, maybe. I play my engineer. So I put it on my engineer. It's different from actually putting a set in the armory and then using the set on another character. Like, your method adds an extra layer of convenience, which would make players who have multiple legendary armors already mad. And although legendary armor sounds like a more hardcore things, casual
we would be mad anyways, but the fact that
we're gonna be mad anyways, but like more people will be mad with your solution. That's the thing.
No, so again, it's like, so I have two mediums, 2 lights, and 1 heavy, right? So with this implementation, like the ones that I crafted, the ones I created myself, the weapons I created myself are the purple ones, right? You know, they actually are set legendaries. You know, when you actually look at when you mouse over the tooltip, it says legendary, right? The ones you get back, maybe it's a different color. It gives you all the convenience of legendary armor. You could change the stats. You could swap sigils and runes freely. You could change infusions freely. But maybe it's not called legendary. Maybe it's called armory or something like that. So I still have all 5 of my armor sets there.
You could
all the
call
duplicate ones are
Armory
distinguished.
Vault
That's
or
all.
something, or Armory Twilight, or something like you said. You kind of distinguish. I mean, here's the thing though, because that is, I'll say, a good idea. Like, it's a very simple idea, and I feel like you said, they have resources to kind of put that in right now, which again probably won't. It'll probably be something way more complicated than what you just explained was very simple, and they're probably going to do the opposite. But
yes, as Avatar said, you could call it. I don't really care.
Do the opposite. That's such an Arenanet thing to do, and I stand that. I do.
Although
I fully expect Arenanet to implement this in a way that it's just like, look at all this hard work we've done, guys. It's taken us 2 years to do this, and it doesn't work right still. And then it's just like, why didn't you just give us a vendor that just gave us copies of these items back?
I wonder though.
And they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, why didn't we think of that?"
If they want to implement, if they
I
want to
don't-
really
I
still
don't think
like,
that's gonna happen this way.
no. Here's the thing: if they make use of that idea, right? And I think some people would argue that, oh, but then their transmutation charges are kind of pointless. So what you do,
No,
make
I
that
think
as
legendary
the
gear.
currency. Turn in those for that. Like if you want a vault, it requires X amount of transmutation charges. So that way you don't technically make something so obsolete anymore. Still need
But then-
transmutation
no,
charges, but for a different
Then
reason.
PvE players are gonna
I
be mad
also
because you
think
don't get
legendaries-
transmutation charges in PvE.
I also think legendaries should be able to swap skins freely, though.
Swap skins? How?
Swap skins.
That's the benefit. That's the benefit of legendary gear.
No, I mean you can already swap stats.
No,
Come on, Enko.
now you're making.
No. Skins, stats, upgrades, and fusions.
You're
I think
basically
all
gonna
of those should
kill-
be
No,
freely
because
swapped.
You'll
The
kill the
legendary
economy that
skins
way.
are one of the
No,
reasons
because
why
they
you do for
they
them.
gotta give us more incentive to want legendary
No,
gear.
but-
Because right now,
No.
look at all the people in chat and how many people are like, "Oh, well, I like legendary gear doesn't give me any benefit." So
It does.
either that or give us like infinite transmutation charge on the trading post that costs like 10,000 gems. I don't know, but if you had legendary gear can also swap skins freely too. Okay, if they did that, legendary weapons, I would say would probably double in price. Easily double in price.
Yeah, but not the idea that you said where you could freely swap skins and I don't know what, because
Oh
there-
yeah, no. If they did that, I think legendaries would double in price.
everybody at this point, who doesn't have a legendary in Guild Wars? At this point, everybody will just be able to swap right away. Who are you appealing to? It's
There's people that don't have legendaries. How many people in chat right now? You know, we've got 66 people in chat right now. How many of you
Don't
guys?
listen to them. I swear to God, they're
Evan,
trolling.
let's
I-
actually. I'm a mod.
Enko.
Let's do this. Let's do a poll. Let's do a
No,
poll.
Enko, I'm gonna explain what's happening about the chat. Like you are not taking the right people into account. The people in the chat, they don't have a legendary because they want to win one from you. Remember, you have a legendary giveaway soon, don't you? That's exactly why they're here. You know.
All right, we're going to put a poll. Do you have a legendary? Yes or no? And we're just going to see what people say.
You're a moderator. Oh man, he actually can do this.
Oh my god, he
I
has all
just
the
realized
powers.
he's a moderator on my stream. He actually can do this.
So, granted, transmutation charges are probably something that Arenanet makes a lot of money on because there are some people that change their skins all the time, like
I
constantly.
mean, it is Fashion Wars too, man. That's the way it is.
so like I mean, I remember like Subi, you know, in QT. I don't remember
Oh,
know how many of you guys know
thanks,
him.
man.
He
I know Subi.
he
yeah.
used to tell me he used to change his entire armor, like his entire outfit look, like his armor and his weapons every week, and he would have to buy transmutation charges every week. This was a guy at the time. I don't know how he is now, but he didn't have a job back then. He was in high school or something like that, or whatever they call it. In Europe,
Actually,
and
he was in uni.
he was in uni at the time. Yeah, but he was
Yeah.
he was spending money every single week to change his outfit looks all the time. So
I mean, that's Subi.
Aiden
basically
probably won't
everybody
want
in
to
the
do
fashion
that because
community.
that's a lot of income that they're going to lose if they actually gave us something that was infinite, you know, swap like skin swapping.
Well, I mean, they could still make them charge. Like you just said, like you could charge them on the trading post, right? So just bump the gem price for that. I don't know. I mean, there has to be a takeaway. I mean, at some point, like you can't make it too easy for us, and you can't also make it too easy for them. So they gotta find that balance. But it's I don't know.
With Anet, it's always been one way or the other way. There's nothing in the middle.
There's nothing in the middle, and that's the problem. They don't know whether to appeal to what they think is like, okay, this would make it worth the while once people have this, whatever form of armory, right? Versus on the other side where they're like, well, we could just give every player all that they want, and then the players will still be like, well, you made it too easy for us. This is not what we asked for. So, but they really don't know how to make those decisions very. I feel like that's the pressure that they usually go into, and they hate being in those situations, such as this, because they're like, do we appeal to what we think is fair, or do we appeal to the mass player base? And that's where they tend to, you know, forget that there's something as compromise in the middle ground, right? So
Yeah, that was just something I thought that, you know, they could add that to sweeten the pot for legendaries, because for a lot of people, legendaries aren't worth it.
weapons
think
on
there's
a
no
practical
reason to do it.
yeah.
Like the whole thing about legendaries being worth it or not is that we're forgetting what the legendaries were at the start of the game. If you recall correctly, legendaries had similar stats to exotics. They were supposed to be the highest level of gear, but tiered the same as whatever was the best you could obtain through regular gameplay. They did not have any means of changing stats right at the start of the game, I believe, or maybe they did actually have that right at the start. But they didn't have the whole sigil swapping for free. Like you still needed to replace your sigils all the time. And they got upgraded so much since then. They've been made more appealing. Like right now, we're literally grasping at straws trying to make them more appealing. They're already supposed to be the very best thing in the game. You get a skin that's exclusive that you won't get elsewhere because you can't unlock a legendary skin with an account wardrobe unlock from Black Lion chest. The legendaries, you can swap the stats whenever you want. They're always the same as the highest level of gear. You can change sigils however you want without erasing your previous sigils. It's actually such great convenience, and that bundled with an exclusive skins that proves that you have worked for it instead of just, I don't know, binged with money at the trading post. So like, they're supposedly nice, special. Like we're not supposed to need to add extra stuff on top of that. They're already meant to be great the way they are.
So to add to that,
one more point about it, they're so convenient with the UI for legendaries.
Yeah, okay, that's trash. Let's
utterly
talk about
garbage.
Guild Wars 2 has an issue with UI design, and it shows when you see that people on Reddit come up with better UI ideas and actually make the whole functional UI on Reddit.
Here's my solution. Here is my solution for the legendary legendary art or legendary gear UI. This is my solution for it.
I'm just gonna segue into something while you're showing this. Someone in the chat said the Kaka event happened and gave everyone a precursor, and I would think that this changed the players' minds on legendaries being hard. That's also one thing we should segue into, which is discussing the acquisition of legendaries and how that changed over time, because that's a very interesting thing. And right now, it's super easy to get a legendary, much easier than before.
Okay, so here's the segue I wanted to get into. So then, do we expect that Gen 3's not like we
Gen 3's
no more of the sense of
this
like
man
do
is
you think pursuing a
hopeful.
Gen 3 set of weapons is something that would be better then for the game, or do you think someone mentioned in chat focusing on trinkets and rings is a better direction to go to? So, and again, remember there's appeal
I think
towards
they need a Gen 3 weapon
third
set.
gen.
They need a Gen 3 weapon set for the expansion.
We need it, but I'm not sure we will have it. That's the issue. Remember, Heart of Thorns was where we were meant to have 16 new legendaries. And that did not happen as planned.
That took like 2 years.
It took 2 years, bro.
When we were in Path of Fire, we did not have all the legendary weapons yet.
I mean, that's just rushing. Look, here's the thing. When they announced Legend, the disappointment of that is because they obviously had planned this to be released with HOT, and then they realized they really only had 3 of those weapons ready, right? And that's what we ended up getting. Nevermore.
4. They had 4.
Or they had 4. Okay. I mean, I don't have to list them, but there was about 3 or 4. If you have 4 legendaries that came out with HOT, and then we didn't.
There were only 3 with HOT.
I'm thinking there was only Astrolaria.
Chuka and Champawat came later.
That was number 5.
No. I thought it was. You had
Hope,
Astrolaria, and
Nevermore.
And
Astrolaria, Nevermore, and
Hope. And crap.
That was it.
Was there a 4th one?
No, there was
Fourth
no
was
4th one.
Chuka and Champawat that came after.
Yeah, for some reason I thought that was a 5th one.
No, there was only 3 at the release of HOT, and they were a mistake because you needed to do a collection all the way. And I remembered having to stay awake at fucking 5 a.m. to be alone in a map where I could fail my event to get the one I needed to finish this dumb Nevermore collection.
By the way, I just typed in EOD in chat and I realized I hate that acronym.
Why?
Because EOD in the military stands for Explosive Ordnance Disposal. It's the bomb squad guys. That's what EOD is.
Don't
So
tell me
whenever I hear that, I'm
that's
like,
basically like
We're
a nice
fighting
way for us to
Primordus.
think that, like, you know, End of Dragons is basically going to bomb, and that's what's gonna happen. Don't.
I mean, we're fighting Primordus. It all checks out.
yeah. So whenever I see that, whenever I see the acronym, I'm like, wait a minute.
But like what I wanted to say though, when that I just said earlier, of course we're gonna need Gen 3 legendaries for multiple reasons, which are like tied into creating new things with something that people will want. Because we will want these legendaries, even if we already have legendaries that cover the slots that these weapons will be. We'll still want the new skins because they look good. Like they did a fantastic job on Gen 2 legendaries. Like Gen 1s, they look great. They feel special. Gen 2s, they look awesome. For real.
They feel even
in my
more
opinion,
special.
some Gen 2s look even better than the Gen 1s. Like it's debatable that I really like the Gen 2s. And when it comes to Gen 3s, the only reason we would want them would be for the looks. Because we already have enough legendaries to cover all the slots. Like we don't use 3 of the same weapons on a single set. We can use 2, not 3.
Well,
So it would be purely
It would just be for the skins.
for the skins, yeah. Or for people who don't already have Gen 1s and Gen 2s. But it's going to be important that we have that sync. We're going to need it. Because if you look at how the prices of legendaries changed through times, the content drought that we had right before HOT was when everything was at its most expensive. Just for Kingdom.
yeah, it was
Like,
actually insane. I mean, legendary
made
selling
no
for like
sense.
3.2k. Good days.
Yeah, it made no sense for a new player to get into. So, like, one thing that Arenanet will want, as they're going to get more players in the game with EOD, like, that's a given. People will come back. New players will come
Steam
in.
launch. Steam launch will probably.
Steam launch as well.
I hope they actually do the
People-
Steam launch part of it
Right
when
before.
EOD comes out.
It should be before. In my opinion, it needs to be before. Because
Yeah.
because then they will get people hooked onto the game. And it's going to be easier to go into selling EOD to them. Right?
Yeah, EOD needs to be able to be purchasable on Steam, so they do need to
Yeah.
have the Steam launch before then.
That would be so huge. And like, this is what I wanted to get into. They need prices to be low when the expansion arrives. Because if the expansion releases and everything is dumb expensive, then people are going to be mad. Unless they manage to do the same mistakes that they did at the start of HOT, which are actually very interesting mistakes, which was making the currency bags that dropped on maps, like map currencies. These currency bags were actually tradable for like 24 hours, 48 hours until
Were
they
they?
fixed it. Yeah.
Oh.
Like you could actually buy the bags of map currencies like the Verdant Brink, Auric Basin, Tangled Depth, etc. Like the bags that you dropped.
I
You
think
could actually buy that.
that goes
For
back
like
to
24,
their
40,000. That was actually good because people who had a lot of money and didn't want to bother farming could actually buy them off from people who gave a fuck about farming and had no money. It gave some decent balance for a little bit of time. That was very interesting. I think that's something that would be interesting to look forward into, like being able to trade currencies for someone else's gold. That would be interesting.
Well,
But-
so here's the thing, right? I
with
mean,
very
the
different-
currencies, the problem with like a lot of the HOT, and even some Path of Fire currencies that were more or less, they're only tradable in the map. That you can't actually trade them with other players. You can't send them over the mail. I think it's because the whole issue was they made too many of them, right? And then you have maps where basically the currency is only relevant in that map, and then next map is another currency, and next map, and there's maybe one base currency throughout these expansions that is used across some of the maps in those X packs, but I would expect, and this is just going out on the history, is that when AUD comes out, you will definitely have a couple more currencies related to their maps, and they're not going to be tradable. They're basically going to be as they are. Like, you have to farm the map, and the reason why I think Arenanet would want to keep that is because that I wouldn't say traps, but that makes you that you have to go farm those maps yourself. You can't just go and buy the currency from somebody else. Like, I can't go buy, like, let's say a currency in EOD is Jade Shards or something. Whatever, right? If you were to just be able to buy a map currency from someone, that means less playtime for you. And Arenanet, I believe, would probably prefer that players have to put in the playtime get what they want, right? So it's just one reason why I see these map currencies stay account bound in your wallet.
So I can see that going both ways. You can have it be tradable, so you can sell on the trading post, and then you get a lot of. If they did that, I think they would have to make the supply in game that drops less, so that because otherwise these things will just become vendor value. But if the amount that gets dropped in game is low enough that they maintain a decent amount on the trading post, where people are actually buying them, you get a lot of gold taken out of the economy because of taxes. Either that or make them account bound, but make them purchasable from a vendor or something that has adjustable prices according to. So Guild Wars 1, you guys remember the material vendors in Guild Wars 1?
Yeah.
Where we didn't have a trading post in there, we had direct trading, but like Ectos, for instance, if somebody sold a ton of Ectos to the vendor, the price from the vendor would go down. If somebody bought a lot of Ectos from the vendor, the price would go up. There was like an internal supply count that the game had. So if they had something like a vendor like that adjusted like that, so if there was a huge amount in there, then in the game, then it would be really cheap. Or if people were buying them, it would go up. Like so, you have kind of a thing where you can buy account bound stuff, but still adjusted. I guess would be the idea. That just came up. I don't really put a lot of thought in that. I don't really think that they should go back because that's so different for this. But having if they made them tradable, so Sam, what you were talking about when Heart of Thorns first launched, if all that material was tradable and it drops at the current rates that they do, they would just become vendor value, or they become 1 copper if there was no vendor value.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
the thing is that wasn't meant to happen. Like it was actually once
a bug.
pointed it out to me. It was a bug, but it was super interesting to have that only for a very short amount of time as it launched, because people like Wanze or I, we did not want to farm the maps. Like I fucking didn't want to. But I also wanted a lot of currency so I could unlock everything from the vendors and see whether there were some new recipes with something interesting that I could buy out and fuck everyone. As farms do.
Well,
so it was very interesting at the start, you know? Like,
my point is,
it didn't make sense in the longest stretch, but at the very start, it gives some equilibrium between people who are just coming into the game and ready to farm, and people who won't farm at all because they can't be asked but have money. So if there was like a period of grace for maybe, I don't know, the first week after the launch of a new area where that could happen, why not? They are able to make something gone after 2 weeks. We've seen that with the release of Strike Missions and helping like the different factions. For 2 weeks, you can buy from a vendor. After this, you can't. Vendor gone. So they're able to do stuff like that. Why not? Whenever we have a new map with EOD, for 1 week, players who have currencies can put them into the vendor. People who have gold and want currencies can buy them from the vendor. After 1 week, vendor gone.
I mean,
yeah, I don't. I feel like that would be more for like content creators because they're like, hey, look, we want to showcase like the new weapon set. Or something like
I mean, we don't need that actually.
Well, you don't need that
I need
because
to be
you're
very
an
mindful.
partner.
Of
you guys have access to other
You have stuff
you
that
guys
we
have
can't
access to other
see. Me
things.
and Enko don't have that, you know.
Again, I don't want to get into the partner program right now because I got in that last night on stream, but maybe that will be a topic for later on again. But because we talked about that a lot last time too. But I can see them having a vendor or having that stuff be tradable. So take a look at Dragon's Den when Heart of Thorns first came out. Do you guys remember how often you got crystalline ore from Dragon's Den originally?
Honestly,
so
I was
from the nodes, you could get 0, 1, or 3.
Or 3. Yep.
Okay, but there was a good chance you got 0. Then they changed it much later. This was the April update, I think, where you were guaranteed 1, you could get 2, you could get 3, or you could get 10. Okay, so they made it way more accessible. Like you could actually get all the crystalline ore you needed for a Gen 2 legendary in like possibly 1 map if you got really lucky. Normally it would take 2. Before, when you wanted to get leadership runes, those cost 75 crystalline ore. So you needed 450 of that.
Don't do me.
You needed 450 of that at the beginning when it launched, and you could get 0, 1, or 3 crystalline ore from every single node, and you needed 450 for a full set, right? If the drop rate was that low, then I'd be fine if they were tradable because they would actually retain some value. If it was like it is now, where it's just like, oh, they're tradable, but you can get like 200 from one dragon stand, they become worthless.
So
So if they have the supply low enough where it's just like, hey, I'm a player that I'm not going to use this stuff, so I can, but I want to do the content because it's new. Oh, but I can sell it to other people for like 5 gold each. Like I still have a reason to go get this currency, and I get to do the new content, even though if I don't care about this drop. And then you have other people who are like, hey, I don't want to do the content. I'm willing to pay somebody else all this gold to get that currency for me, so I could at least get the stuff from the vendor. If they did something like that, then it would be okay if the supply is low enough. But if crystalline, or again, like if it's the drop rates where like they like are now, where it's a relatively common material now, like you get so much from Dragon Stand, then I think it's fine being account bound, not trade.
Well,
that's something that
just to add to that actually gives more power to, actually gives more power to the farmers, the people who are actively playing those metas every day.
You know what I would love, actually, MM, if you can actually, Sam, you're the partner. If we could ever get Arenanet's economist on a Baron podcast,
yes,
and we could talk to them about this kind of stuff and just get their ideas and their viewpoints on it.
I can always.
That would be amazing, because then we actually get some insight on what are they thinking about all this stuff. Because I would love it if we had, whoever the I don't want to say new because he's been there for a bit and we just don't know who it is.
Yeah,
he or she, I don't know who it is. If they were on like the Dragon Discord and we were like throwing out all these like weird, stupid ideas that we do sometimes at 3 a.m, and he's just like, yeah, that wouldn't work. That wouldn't work because of these reasons. Like, if we had some kind of communications with Arenanet and just like get their ideas on this, because other game companies do this all the time. They talk about like, oh yeah, we did it like this because of these reasons. Like, I think that would be amazing.
I think we actually used to have something relatively close to that with John Smith before, and some other devs reacting on Reddit. Like recently, I made that video about Mystic Coins, and we even had Mike O'Brien reacting on the topic of Mystic Coins on Reddit. He actually wrote about them, explaining why they made it that way and why they were thinking it was fine. We have had so much backlash when it came to whenever Arenanet would say something that displeased people, that I don't see them actually bothering with coming forward to us.
I think that's also...
this is why I don't think it should be on Reddit. I think it should be more on like a focused Discord, like more of a chat group.
Yeah, but then some people who are not on this Discord are going to be mad because maybe we're getting some insider info. Maybe
something similar to that,
again,
remember,
this goes with the partner program. Maybe this is what the Twitch partner or the Arenanet partner program.
No, there was something similar to this.
Get into that.
There was something similar to this. So
I will ask. You know what? I'm gonna ask.
No,
sure.
So like I'll tell you why there was something like this. So recently, I think in the last month or 2 months ago, something similar to this scale happened on the World vs. World Leaders community, right? There is a Discord where there's about couple 4 or 5 devs, and anyone's welcome to join this. If you're a World vs. World guild, you're welcome to join. Like each guild is only allowed 2 representatives to make it, a very focused discussion. And around about 2 months or 3 months at this point, there was a particular Arenanet dev. I'm not gonna name the name, but he had a conversation with a specific guild about some changes that could be implemented and things like that. And then the word got out to this WW community Discord, where there's already some of these same devs there, with a lot of the leaders, and it wasn't taken very well. They were like, why was there a focused discussion with only one particular guild that could basically enhance or, pretty much put their say in what the meta of WW could be, when there was a full-fledged dedicated Discord to discuss these problems of the World vs. World. So anytime you have a focus group, even if like that focus group has a lot of experience, has a lot of reason to be like a good representative of the community, you're gonna have such backlashes. So imagine Enko, you, me, Sam, and let's just say the Dragons Discord that has a lot of veteran traders, right? Imagine we had a focus group with that new economist. How bad do you think we're gonna get slammed on Reddit that we somehow manipulate the markets to what we want to do in this game?
I would hide.
Again, I kind of want to stay away from this just because...
there's a group of people downvoting me whenever I write something. Even if I write something like, yo, your outfit looks great, I get -5.
Yeah, well, again, like some of this goes back to like community access. Like a lot of this goes back to community access with Anet, and again, it's just like
there are already people mad.
This is going to get into a long topic again.
Imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I wish it would happen, but it again, I think that's just one of the small things that is kind of like the inconveniences we've had, is sometimes that we'd want more communication, but we don't get it. But I don't know, like we're spitballing a lot of ideas here. So like to go back to the topic of the material sink, what we think it could work, again, like you said, Enko, they might see it a different perspective. For example, Cynthia was actually mentioning, to go back to that previous map currency topic. So in Destiny, they have a vendor named Spider that sells map currency, and you can sell it to him too. Every day it's random, and sometimes some currency will cost Glimmer, I'm assuming some other currency, some legendary shards, and sometimes you can exchange currency you have for others. The more you buy of certain maps, the price increases.
That's similar to the Guild Wars 1 vendor idea.
Yeah, because
and also
it's with currencies. It's with map currencies though. So yeah, I like that idea. I like that idea.
That's also something that Arenanet tried to do when they introduced the map reward system. Like they attempted to do something like this. They would get players focused on farming a specific map where extra stuff would drop on top of the regular one. They tried to make it so that whatever would be undersupplied would suddenly become interesting to be farmed. Like let's say you drop people into a map that drops an item that is undersupplied in the economy, then of course it's going to become supplied again. That's the way it should work. Except it was a major fiasco because Arenanet has always been relatively weird when it comes to designing rewards, when it comes to rewarding players for doing events.
Remember how we said earlier, Aident's either one way or the other way, not in the middle?
I mean, it's not one way or the other. It's about the fact that they overestimate player reaction to something that they implement. It's not like they don't do proof of concept implementation. They do implementation.
Yeah, so the map reward system, part of the problem with that, it's on a schedule. So we all know when those map rewards are coming. That's why you save up the scout XP things, and then you could just go in there and just pop all those and then get all those things. So Cynthia's idea is that instead of that, is it's just Verdant Brink is farmed so much that everybody has a bunch of airship currencies. So they're all spending all these airship currencies. So the value of airship currencies is lower than compared to Aurelium from the Orc Basin, right? So that the game has a system where it balances out the vendor currency. So if among the player community, if there's 1 million airship parts being generated a day versus only 200,000 of the crap, I can't remember what it's called. Let me go and game for a real sec. Or you have the lumps of Aurelium, right?
Yeah,
so you either 2 million or 1 million airship parts gets generated a day, while only 200,000 lumps of Aurelium get generated a day. Lumps of Aurelium would have more value to this vendor than airship parts would be, because it's and then if somebody spends a lot of Aurelium on it, then those become less valuable on the vendor. So it would adjust. So it's kind of like the idea of the Guild Wars 1 material vendors, again, where it's just if somebody sells a lot of ectos to the vendor now has a higher supply of that, which means the price goes down. So it'd be the same thing like this. So if a ton of airship parts are being spent at the vendor, then what you could get for those airship parts becomes less. They become more expensive in terms of airship parts. Versus if not a lot of lumps of Aurelium are being spent, then the prices on those things, because lumps of Aurelium have a higher value, it doesn't cost as many of those at the vendors, and it would adjust over time. So the weekly vendors that we get with the festivals, for instance, if you go to Super Venture Box right now, you could turn in some bauble bubbles for Mystic Coin, right? What if they had those weekly vendors available? Maybe not a weekly, maybe be a daily vendor. A Mystic Coin costs 10,000 airship parts, or you can get one from Orc Basin for 2,000 lumps of Aurelium or something like that. And then if somebody goes, it's I've got 200,000 lumps of Aurelium, I'm going to turn those all in for Mystic Coins. They buy 20 of them. Okay, now it's 3,000 lumps of beryllium for a mystic coin. They spend another huge batch. Okay, now it's 5,000 lumps of beryllium for a mystic coin, and it adjusts according to how many are being spent or spent and used for it. If they do something like that, and they have a limit on it to control it a little bit, then we can have something like that where the map currencies can be quote unquote tradable. Again, like I could probably flesh out this idea a lot more, but
I can already see the issue, man. I can already see the issue. People are going to be mad.
just thought of this in 30 seconds. Of course, there's going to be issues.
Of course, none of it. Like there is one glaring issue, which is why I'm going to just put that out, and then we can talk about it. But the problem with that is that we already saw that before, and I'm going to segue into something else, and I'm going to come back real quick. Sorry, MM. Do you remember when world events got put on a timer? Do you recall that moment?
Yeah.
Well, and how people became mad that they couldn't just do the things they wanted when they wanted, but instead had to wait for a specific time frame to do the one thing they wanted to do. It was an uproar, even on the sanctified forums, the place where negativity and toxicity has no room.
Okay, well, one correction. World events were always on the timer. We just didn't know the timer.
No, people would be very mad if it actually changed throughout the day, the amount that you can exchange. They would be mad about that, because that means the early bird gets the worm.
But that's
and
supply and demand. So what you can't
that's
be
the supply and demand.
You can't be mad.
That's the thing of the trading post.
I mean that goes down to time zone issues.
If you can exchange materials like a currency for material, and then the rate changes throughout the possibility of the exchange, then that's going to be fucked up. Because that means that the people who exchange first get more for the same amount.
No, I wouldn't think it would. I don't think it should change at, like, if they did this, I don't think it would change at set periods during the day. I think it would change according to like when things were being spent. So during heavily populated times, then yeah, things would get more expensive because there's a lot more people turning stuff in. And honestly, that could also be used as a system to help out with.
So it should be elastic then. So it's elastic and not progressive.
Yeah, so like I think there was one vendor like
sounds better than progressive.
If you wanted to get really cheap materials on Guild Wars 1, if you were doing it through the vendor, which nobody did because it was a really dumb way to do it, because you could just get it cheap from other players. But if you wanted to get it at like a downward, like when it was kind of trending downwards, you would go into the game when the population was lower to buy it, because
that sounds interesting. I think what CJ said in the chat is just the perfect level of correction. It's just that needs to be
for your one person. Yeah.
So the thing is, this vendor in Destiny 2.
If it's for everyone, that means that let's say vendor resets at around reset time. Okay, reset time is either 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. for me. You can be sure that I'm going to be in bed snorting.
Oh, I don't think.
And then that's when you play. My 2 a.m. is basically.
I don't think it should be a set time. If they did something like this, I don't think it should be a set time. It would just continually be updated. Even if it's kind of like how the gem prices, right? You buy gems, it immediately updates right after you buy the gems.
That's different. That's different because it's not something you get in the game for another thing you get in the game.
So I mean,
I know, but what I'm saying is they could do that. They could do that methodology where it's updating. It's updating constantly.
No, it just should be player bound.
No,
because
player bound. I think player bound could work because like that means you can't game the system if it's player bound. So if you're turning in X amount, it's only adjusting to yourself. So that way, that doesn't affect someone else because of the time zone issues, right? So I think that's a workable solution.
And because of the amounts some people have, because some people have been farming the same shit for ages. Like there are some people mindlessly doing Auric Basin every day. I hope none of you guys does that because I just dunked on you all right now. Sorry for the mind. Just some people take great pleasure into doing Auric Basin every day. And these people have hundreds of thousands of that. And let's say you implement that, they're just going to come in, turn all of it in, get wondrous amounts of gold, and then everybody else is going to be sad. Because I personally don't have hundreds of thousands. I have maybe a few thousands because I hate doing open world. And I'm going to be like, so first you came in, got everything for cheap, fucked everyone out. Good. Perfect.
Yeah, but I mean, that's going to be the case of any new system you do. Where, because Arenanet has actually said that this is why they don't want to do anything like this, because there are some people that have so much random materials or something. So let's say they come up with a new use for cauliflower. Okay, there are some people, somebody just bought 100,000 cauliflower like last week because they wanted to pull another cauliflocalypse, not on Merrick this time, but on somebody else. And it wasn't me because I actually looked and I was gonna help out with this, and now I'm like, wait, somebody already bought this all out. But Anet has had this as an issue before. They've actually had flat out said this, like when they were still communicating with more, where it's like they don't want to add new uses for existing currencies because you're always going to have those people that have a ton. Like I remember being told this about luck because every single year because I used to keep all my luck, and I would go, it's like, look at all this luck I have no use for. I really wish Anet would increase the cap, and I got specifically told that Anet won't increase the cap on account bound magic find, like from luck. Because there are people like me who can immediately turn in 100 million luck and get their account-wide magic find like jumped up by like 50%. Okay, so you apply that thought process to everything. As you said, there are some people that they've been farming liquid Aureliums every single day, constantly, all the time. They've got 40 accounts just sitting there just farming this stuff, and so they've got probably 500,000-600,000 of them. And if they implement something like this, they'd immediately go in and liquidate. So, but at some point, Anet also needs to just realize that, hey, that's going to happen at the beginning of a new market. You're going to have people who are early adopters who are going to be able to spend all this stuff in there. Unless they only do this with new systems. Like they implement this thing with a new End of Dragons map currency, and it only applies from End of Dragon maps. Like they don't take the system to apply to older systems. So everybody starts off on the same foot. Like, you're going to have that problem regardless of what system you use, unless everybody starts clean. So, at some point, like if you want to use this type of system to adjust the market a little bit on these older maps, you're going to have to realize that's going to happen.
But the thing is, I mean, this is an issue to.
Yeah, exactly. What Ratsona said. How stupid is that to build the game around these few people that can't do it?
Yeah.
So just because there's a couple people like me, I mean, you can look at the efficiency of who's been hoarding luck. I don't keep that luck anymore because I need the storage space. But to say it's like, oh, we're not going to improve we're not going to improve the system for everybody that plays this game because two people can abuse it. If that's their mentality, I mean, you could say that about everything. Like, oh, we're not going to make PvP balance changes because this one guy's really, really good at Mesmer. If we make this change, he'll become OP. But it does not apply to everybody else. It's only this one person who is so good at it that it'll make him overpowered. But it's a huge issue with the game. We're not going to fix it because one person might benefit from it. Like
it's different if it's gameplay or economy. You know, they've always made the difference. Gameplay is fine.
No, it's the same thing though. Gameplay, talent, and how good you play a class, you could apply that same mentality to someone who's really good at playing the economy. Oh, somebody might know how to get so much of this one thing, and because this person hoarded this many things, we don't want to make a new use for it.
It's not
like
even
if that's
economy.
The case, then
it's just the case of like, okay, well, you have X amount of people who farm this certain amount of currency every single day. So it's just like, I mean, if you're gonna talk about that, if you're gonna talk about PvP, you ain't gonna get anything done at that point, right? At that level, just don't do anything at this point, right?
Would this change be better for 99% of the player base? If it's gonna like superbly benefit 1%, it may do that, but it's going to help out everybody else as far as convenience, quality of life, just a better system. If they're going to apply that kind of thing to older systems, like if they want to add a vendor for Heart of Thorns currencies, for Path of Dragon currencies, then they're going to have to realize, okay, there's going to be those outliers. I mean, I don't remember what one of you guys said. I am an outlier on a lot of things, right? Like just as far as storage space goes, whatever, and like what I do in the game. If they apply like, well, this is going to benefit Enko like so much, we can't do this change. They're punishing everybody else in the game because of that. Like, it's not just me that has an issue with the luck cap. If luck had another use besides Lunar New Year's now, I'm not the only one that's maxed out luck. The only reason why I was hoarding all that luck was because it's like, in my mind, I was thinking it's like, Anet might give me a use for this later on. I'm going to
fear of missing out. Yeah.
because it's just like, this is a resource they're giving me, and I feel like, well, this is such a problem. They're going to have to do something with it eventually. And then they gave us Drupal, and then I sat there for 26 hours turning luck into Drupal.
What Rotzener said is very true as well. The problem with that mentality is also the older the game gets, the more people are in that situation to hoard stuff and to turn into a never-ending cycle, which is true. Which is why they should actually bother changing stuff, but doing it like a clever way. For instance, the way they're doing it with Lunar New Year is great, because you have a currency, kind of. Let's say luck is a currency. You have a currency that you can exchange for either pure gold, which is fine, at a fixed rate, which is pretty much what we were saying earlier could be a solution. Exchanging currency for gold at a very low rate but fixed, so that you don't feel like you're missing out on it. Or option 2, you get a grab bag for it, which is what we've had this year with the lucky red bag. And I think that this is the best way to like correct some currencies, because we've been talking about material sinks for quite a while, but what about material faucets? Material faucets also have an importance for some stuff. Let's say, big example, Mystical. Other example, specific festival stuff that is underdropped. The rice bowls, I don't know if you, I guess you did some bag research this year as well. Rice bowls drop much less than any other food. They drop the least. It's crazy. So having an extra way of acquiring them was very good. And if they can do that for all the currencies, like just making a specific grab bag that contains exactly what needs to be put into the game, then that's very clever. And this is the way it should go.
Yeah,
I don't know. I have an easy solution for luck.
They can just
progressively more luck from each percentage. Remove the cap on the 300% cap, but just take every percentage more you get, makes it more and more luck you need. So at some point, maybe around the 350% luck, 350% magic find point, you're going to need so much luck that it'll take so much to get to 351. Like, make it cost like 1 billion luck to get to 351. And then 352 would be 2 billion luck. Then 4 billion luck. Make it exponentially, progressively harder to get to the next one. But it still feels like, hey, we have a use for the luck. We're making some progress on it. I don't have to just hoard it for a full year for Lunar New Year's to come around to give it to this lucky red bag vendor. Either that or keep that vendor around.
That's actually bad though, because this is such a band-aid fix. Like, Magic Find has right now very little use.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if they do this, it won't actually hurt a lot of stuff, but it'll also make players feel like we're not wasting luck.
Yeah, I mean,
it'll just make us feel like we're not wasting stuff.
So
yeah, but we can
either that or stop giving me luck.
But we can keep it until Lunar New Year. Just store it away, man. You got all them characters. Just use one.
I don't know what to store. I need another 70 characters to store that much luck.
Buy another account.
Stop hoarding.
Pay Arenanet money.
That's account bound. I can't do that.
Stop hoarding the luck.
If I put materials on another account and you keep the main one for luck, it's what I do.
Okay, if I maxed out my second account and I was getting luck on there the way I usually get luck, you know how fast it would take me to fill up 69 characters with 320 slot bags with exotic lucks? You know how long it would take me to fill that up?
I'm guessing not that long.
I'd say 1 month.
Probably about a month and a half. I'd run into the same problem.
Oh, I was so close. Do I win something?
So
that silence.
100 million luck is like six and a half characters. Okay, so if I was actually pushing to grind luck, I can make about 3 to 4 million luck a day. Okay, so 100 million luck would take me about a month. So actually, yeah, that probably would take me a year to fill out an entire account.
Like,
okay, but I shouldn't need to do that. Like, honestly, I would, if they didn't want to add a new use for luck or like get rid of the luck cap, I would actually be okay with them just turning on an auto consume for luck, so I don't see it in my inventory anymore.
Or option 20, we just get a luck gobbler that gives you buffs.
Well,
yeah, only if there was no cooldown on it.
Like, that's getting to a very specific like issue at this point, right? That's getting to a very specific currency As a whole, though,
Well,
like
no, okay. So when you say a specific currency, though, we have this issue with a lot of currencies in the game. Though.
yeah,
So we were using the Heart of Thorns currencies, right? Let's say you enjoy doing Verdant Brink. For some reason or another, you like doing Verdant Brink, right? Airship parts. You've gotten all the Gen 2 legendaries, you've gotten all the mini unlocks, you got all the armor unlocks you can. The only thing you like, I guess you could turn into obby shards, right? But at a certain point, you have no more use for airship parts, right? So what Cynthia is talking about with the vendor idea is that you could exchange it for other map currency. Like maybe you like doing Verdant Brink, but you don't like doing Tangled Depths. So so the leyline crystals. You don't have a lot of leyline crystals though, but you could turn in the airship parts for leyline crystals. And if you never turn in any leyline crystals, then the exchange rate gets worse and worse and worse and worse. So eventually it's like 100 airship parts for like one leyline crystal. Then you keep doing that, then it goes up to like 500 airship parts for one leyline crystal. So you can balance out your map currencies. I could get on board with that, but this idea of that you have this is issues only with luck. So luck, it's like we have very few uses. You either consumed it for Magic Find, you can use it for Guild Hall, you can use it for a couple of backpacks, or you can use it to like upgrade the exotic backpacks, or you can save it for Lunar New Year's with the vendor now, right? The problem is, what do you do with it throughout the year if you're already maxed out and you don't want to hoard this stuff because you only have 9 characters, you don't have that space. And you still get this luck showing up in your inventory whenever you freaking salvage blues and greens. Like, what can you do with it?
well,
Like, I just want to throw it out. I don't want to see it anymore.
I just
Give
want to
me a
remind you,
quality of
though.
life update.
I want to remind you.
Auto-consume luck.
No, I want to remind you though,
Actually-
but the issue that you're talking about is very specific, again, to a very small minority, right? Tell me,
But more and more
people off the
people are
top of your
maxing
head
out
that
on
have
luck.
that many problems with storing such a currency like luck, right? Now we're talking about in general. There's people who, if you talk about generally, right? I'm sure there's people who have a lot of airship parts. I'm sure there's people who have lumps of beryllium. The issue's like pretty common, maybe across the board. But it goes back to that earlier thing we were talking about. Like, it's just very small minority players who are experiencing such a problem, right? Obviously, the ones who have it in their wallets, they don't have this issue because it's more or less stored in the wallet. But something like luck, it's not a wallet currency. So you have that problem. So, yeah, it's too specific to really, I guess, make it a problem for Arenanet to address, I think. So if you go back to maybe... Sure, will they make the currencies tradable into vendors, and maybe it's personal between players and the vendors, so that like you're not directly affecting another player's price. It's just each player has a different price based on what they submit.
I guess my point though is that Arenanet, when they come up with these systems, they don't think about what do we do at the end point. So like luck, before Lunar New Year started having uses for luck, they didn't think about, okay, once players reach 300% Magic Find, what do we do about luck? So it's great that they came up with the system like, hey, we'll give you some bonus account-wide Magic Find with this luck system, but they didn't think about what do we do when somebody actually reaches 300%? Like, okay, maybe we should have luck stop showing up on their account. And the problem is that when we're talking about, now I'm looking at this from a big picture, like the mentality of it all. So when we were talking about Arenanet, like how they implement things, they do this a lot. They have this issue a lot where it's like, we're going to create the system. So, hey, get great rewards for the players, but we don't think about what do we do when somebody gets all the rewards and they're still getting these drops. Like this is now an issue for me with Crimson Assassin tokens now, right? So Crimson Assassin tokens, you get those from the dailies, you get those from the course load achievement for Super Adventure Box. The only thing that they're used for is to get the Crimson Assassin weapon skins. Once you get all 16 weapon skins, you continue to get Crimson Assassin tokens. But there's no other use for them in game now. All I could do with them is throw them out. Like, even if they added to the Bauble Bubble vendor where you could turn in like your continue coins, your extra stuff for baubles, even if they did that, would be okay. But Arenanet does this a lot where they add a currency they add a currency or a resource to the game, and then they don't think about what do we do with this currency or resource when you have everything you could get with that resource, and then they just let it keep going.
I mean, that's actually where all of us here are very wrong about the way Arenanet does things. And once again, we need to be reminded of how Arenanet perceive their own game. Guild Wars 2 is a game that is played on and off in their mind. So, new update comes in, players come back. They realize that they are a little bit behind on some stuff. They buy gems. They play the new story. They get what they want. They stop playing the game. We, like the people who keep playing the game beyond the content that's been given to us, are a minority. We are not what Arenanet deems to be the main target of their system. That is where we're all wrong.
Okay, well, I'm going to address some things in chat. So, Murder, you're saying I'm making fake problems. That's not a fake problem. Even if it takes you 5 years to finish it takes 4 years if you do it the dailies. Even if you take that long to do it, the main drive to keep doing Super Adventure Box the following year is that you were getting these tokens. Once you finish that, it's not a fake problem. It's just a problem that doesn't affect a lot of people. But it's not just the Crimson Stats tokens that they have this problem with. They have this issue with a lot of their currencies and resources in the game. So I'm talking about a mentality issue. If they have something where you can turn these things into other things, because let's say you don't want the Crimson weapon skins, like the Crimson Assassins, you don't want them, but you're getting this drop. I have no use for this now. What am I going to do with it? Like they could just have it so you could turn it into the base resource. You could turn it into baubles or baubles. You could turn it into other things. Dungeon tokens, you could turn those into other things. Granted, you could turn those into exhaust and salvage those, but they have a lot of problems where they add resources to the game, and then there's eventually no use for those resources.
It's funny because you can actually,
if you go in your wallet, take a look at your wallet. Like how many of you guys have a ton of a certain thing in your wallet that you just have no use for it anymore? Arenanet doesn't think about the long term. They introduce a new thing. They introduce a new currency, a new thing with a new map. And then they don't think about like, oh crap, there's nothing to do with this thing after anymore.
Exactly, because in their mind, once you're done with it, you're supposedly done with this part of the game until new content comes in and you play the new content.
So I mean, like
No,
Cynthia's
here's the
idea
thing.
with
Well,
this
I agree.
currency vendor.
No, I agree that like
add that so you could turn your unused resources into another resource that maybe is usable to you. Add an exchange rate or something like that.
No, but so this goes back.
I do like that kind of idea.
This goes back to another issue where, like, Sam, so you're talking about like once you're done with that section of the game, you're kind of done with it, right? You don't return to it. And it's funny because there has been arguments of people saying that like, okay, why is previous content of the game dead or stuff like that? And I mean, let me just bring up something that I reminded this. So dungeon currencies right now, I'm sure a lot of players in this chat, if you've played since release, you probably have a lot of dungeon currencies that you probably have never needed to use in your life at this point, other than if you were to buy the specific dungeon gift for your legendary, assuming, right? You have thousands of those. I imagine those were tradable in some form to a vendor or something else, or even just currency exchange them. So it's like, if you could do that, that would actually encourage people to go back to dungeons and just farm dungeons, because that makes dungeons have a use, because your currencies that you're getting from those dungeons are actually usable. They're actually tradable in the current format of the game. They're still relevant as they are today, as they were in release. You don't have that, and now your currency is sitting in your wallet. And
because that's permanent content.
I don't have to go far back. I mean, you just go to HOT. How many people have so many currencies from HOT after they've already probably gotten every single thing they could get out of the vendors in HOT?
Because that's exactly the thing about Gears 2. So take it. I'm not going to pretend that I know exactly what Arenanet is doing. However, I've been in such debates for a while. Like we discussed this on Tea Time. I discussed it on many other occasions with people. And I've been given like the opportunity to interact in and outside of the game with people from various like backgrounds when it came to how they play the game. So the way the game is made is there is baseline content that sometimes gets like an addition. And that is the content that is permanent and that you are meant to play all the time. Okay? This is dungeons, fractals, raids, strike missions, DRMs. That's the content you're meant to play all the time. Meta events are kind of going that way, but they're also being handled wrongly. So they are the outlier that we'll talk about at some point. Then you have everything that is added in the form of what should be temporary. If you remember the first season of The Living Story, if you missed out on a 2 weeks release window, you couldn't play it anymore. because it was meant to be temporary. Then at some point, they started making maps for the Living Story. That is where shit went wrong. Because from Living Story 2 onwards, it means you can play them as chapters in these maps. Because they're meant to be played with a lot of players in these maps. And this content that they created was meant to be temporary, so that you would log in when it came out, play it with everybody else when it came out, and then it is still around for the people who missed it and would still play it, because it's a way for Arenanet to make money. They're selling you the right to play that content that is now obsolete through the gem store. But it's still meant to be pump and dump. And that leads us to a situation where the game is meant so that something releases, you play it. Once you're done playing it, you get back to the baseline of the game, you do the dungeons, fractals, raids, strike missions, DRMs, and meta events. Meta events being the outlier because they actually give you obsolete currency, even though they're relevant for some specific drops. So that's like the real bastard child of the system that was made at the start. And the reason why I'm talking about this as the system Arenanet developed is because in real life I had the occasion to discuss with hardcore players, when I went to conventions and stuff like that before the Rona, of course. I was around other elitists who were like, yeah, dungeons good, fractals good, raids good. That's all we did. And then I spent a day with a complete normal player, kind of casual, because he just happened to be in my city. So we sat for lunch and everything, and he was like, yeah, I'm just, the way I play Guild Wars 2 is, no, I just don't play it, and then, the story releases, I see the notification on the feed, etc. So I just log into the game, I realize I haven't played so much, so I kind of need a little bit of gold to buy some stuff, maybe re-gear my characters and everything. So I'm going to buy some gems, convert that, buy the stuff that I need, buy maybe a new outfit or something. Then I'm just going to play the content. And once I'm done, I'm just going to stop. And that's when I realized that this is the way Arenanet makes it, because the people who are going to play every day are not the people who are going to buy stuff. The people who buy are people who drop and come back. So they tailor to that. And these people, they won't have the problem of having too many currencies, because they're not going to keep playing it. They just come in, farm however they need, however much they need, and then they're done.
I mean,
yeah, it's just very odd that Arenanet seems to be designing their game around people only playing an hour or 2 hours every.
Because they're the people who pay Enko. They're the money.
They are the money makers. The whole reason this gem store is because of them.
I don't get why Apple is making overpriced phones every year for people when they could literally make a less premium version of it, or maybe just because their phone could last another year. No, it's because they know that what works is releasing each year a new phone, and that phone carrier across the world are just going to actually make promotions so that if you buy the new phone, you get some percentage off, so that people will renew their iPhone every year, and everybody wins in it, be it the phone carrier or Apple. It works exactly the same. You realize who pays, and you focus everything you got on the people who pay.
Yeah, and that does make sense, because it's we'll do minimal effort because for maximum payout. The problem, if we're talking about the game, we talked about the Steam launch, for instance. So, if the game's full of players like that, it's going to look really bad in the Steam metrics, because you can see hours played on Steam, and you can they track all that stuff on Steam. Guild Wars 2, when it actually comes out on Steam, the metrics for it are probably not going to look very pretty if a lot of people are just oh, I logged in on patch day, I played 2 hours of the content, and then I went off to go play a different game for 2 weeks until the next patch.
But that's exactly the mentality of the game right now. People log in for the patch.
Is this why Arenanet realized maybe we don't want to launch on Steam because all this stuff will be exposed?
Because that's very different. Look at other MMOs that are on Steam. You have Final Fantasy 14.
Well, they're subscription based, so people feel obligated to play more.
Yeah, Guild Wars 2 doesn't have a subscription. It is buy to play, which is exactly why this works out. You don't feel that you're missing out if you stop playing and take a break. Guild Wars 2, and that's going to sound very wrong of me given the amount of hours I put in it, but Guild Wars 2 is a great side game, lads. It's great. Just play your main games.
I agree that Guild Wars 2 is, in a way, you don't ever feel like you're behind people, right? Because you can pick it up as soon as you left, 5-6 months. you got players who left like a year ago and they come back and they're like, all right, I just literally did all the Ice Boot Saga. I'm caught up. And that's basically a week of content, right? Not 2-3 months of like, oh, I had to put 2-3 months of effort to catch up to everybody because I haven't played in the year. So I agree. In a sense, yes, it's that game where you can put it down and you can pick it up at any point in time. You're not going to lose much unless you miss, for example, an expansion and you come back a little after an expansion. That's a different argument. But, it's if Arenanet wants to be different, or and in a way it's kind of different like that because it really is catering to the casual, which is what brings in the revenue, right? You want to target the audience that's actually putting in the money for your game.
Yeah.
But then you can't make that. You can't make
okay.
that argument, or you can't make that argument where it's like, oh, we're not getting enough of this. You're not getting enough of that. That's the direction the company's taken. So it's like all of this that we're talking about, again, it appeals to very small groups of people, even the veterans in this game. And when I say veterans, that word is also very loosely. I say that very loosely said because, like, at this point, anyone who's in the game for 3 years can be considered a veteran, right? You're a veteran as long as you've had 2-3 legendaries under your account. You've had maybe one or
say
two.
6 months.
It's not even about how long you've played. It's about like
What you
which
accomplished,
parts
basically.
of the game. What parts of the game you've played. That's what makes you a veteran. Like someone who's been farming for the whole game is not exactly a veteran. The veteran is going to be the one guy who said, yeah, I've played fractals, I've played dungeons, I've farmed all the maps, I've unlocked the stuff that I wanted. That's a veteran. That's where being a veteran is. The veteran is just the guy who's played, or the girl, we're inclusive here, who's played across a lot of different game modes or areas of the game. Like, you wouldn't call yourself a veteran if the only thing you did were fractals. Because then everybody would take your opinion and wipe their ass with it, because you haven't played other areas of the game. So obviously you don't know the game. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So anybody can be a veteran. You could become a veteran of Guild Wars 2 within 2 months if you just play everything it has to offer. And I believe if I were on vacation and I made a fresh account and played it for 2 months straight, I could clear the entirety of the game.
Someone's saying, can you be a veteran and be bad at the game? Yes, absolutely. You can be a veteran and not be that good in the game. Veteran is someone who's at least done things in the game to the point where you understand all the forms of the game, the aspects of the game modes. You have had considerable amount of like playtime in different aspects of the game to say that, okay, I actually know what each of these game modes can do, what you can't do, but you don't necessarily have to be that good at all of them to say you're a veteran. A veteran is just someone who's put in a lot of experience in whatever mode they've played. So
the veteran has tried everything. The veteran isn't necessarily good at everything.
Yeah.
Because Guild Wars 2 is once again an easy game, catered at casuals, so that you can just come into the game, and even if you've forgotten all the controls, you can clear it. For the record, as a partner, I get preview of the game before it releases, and I can play the living story and all of the encounters of the living story before they release. On that account, I do not necessarily have everything unlocked the way I would so desire, so I actually make a point of clearing the entirety of each release on a base ranger, using only a jaguar and I think it's the marsh drake or something. So these are the only 2 pets I have. I wear full exotic berserkers and full celestial trinkets, and I clear everything alone, without any specs, just base ranger. So being a veteran is definitely not being good. Guild Wars 2 is easy. You can clear it, just like I said. You can actually do it. Do like the story mode of the game. Of course, playing dungeons, fractals, etc. is going to be harder, but you can play the game with basically nothing.
So, question to segue into End of Dragons, right? Because now we're getting into the end game here, where we're looking at now, EOD comes out with some of these game-changing features. We talked about Armory. We talked about the possibility of doing something with map currencies or map syncs, right? Like material syncs, sorry, like where we've seen in Ice Boot Saga, which we kind of touched over in the previous podcast. When you're a new player, you pick up this game and you see, for example, all these players who have, had their experience in some form or another, and compare that, say, to the players who are returning to the game, say, during the expansion, right? That's what brought those returning players to the game. You know, where do you see the mentality where some people are like, this is still too easy? Or where do you see people saying that, like, there's still much to do in this game? Because obviously, someone who picks up the game at the expansion is at least a year. I would say at least a year, assuming you play casually. Or maybe 6 months if you're a very hardcore player, right? Versus somebody who's maybe had a year break from the game. They're coming back, and what does it seem like to them? Is the expansion just like, oh, it's just basically another Living World season in one bundle? Or because that's going to determine the mentality of a lot of players going into this expansion.
Well, okay, so before we go, like, my point before that I was trying to make, though, was just that I think Arenanet needs to consider systems that they're implementing in the game. They need to have longevity to them. They need to have most of the systems they put in the game have a finite end to them, and once you get to that finite end, there's nothing you could do with that system. They need to have something where it's like, just put in something where you exchange those rewards that you can't use anymore for something else. If they do that, like, whatever methodology they choose to do that with, it would fix a lot of issues in the game. Or not a lot of issues. It would fix a lot of issues where people feel like they're not getting rewarded, or they can't do anything with that reward. That's the only point that I was trying to make with that.
Yeah, I think we also kind of talked about that specifically last time, right? We kind of discussed, I can't remember what it was, but we talked about something where it was to do with, like, what do you do next? I don't know if it was fractals, but for some reason that keeps coming to my mind, where what do you do when someone has already reached fractal level 100, and it's like, now you're just repeating the same content for, I would say, I guess fractals is a bit more decent rewards than some parts of the game, but
okay, so let's go with fractals then. So you've gotten Fractal God, you've got Fractal, all the CMs on with the group on farm, you've got all the skins, you got all the drops you want. What is there left to do after that? The only thing that's left to do is the game content. Like, do you enjoy the game content? Do you want to get better at the content? Do you just like doing it even though you're not getting rewards? Because the rewards you do get, you have no use for. That's possible, though. Fractals, like, it does actually give a lot of gold. So
Fractal actually, if you have Fractal God, you can make easily over 40 gold an hour, but that's specifically to 42 farming, so it's not level.
No, if you just do your CMs and your dailies a day, you'll get about 45 gold in like 25-30 minutes. Oh, actually, no, with the new CM, probably
if you're in a good group that can actually
with a good group. So a lot of this thing, like, why do people keep doing raids after they got all the rewards? They got all the skins, they're full ascended. I mean, I've got 3 characters just full of ascended, I have nothing to do with, right? Why do you keep doing raids? It's because you enjoy the content. I don't care about the rewards at that point. So this goes back to the carrot that they give to players. Some players will only do content because they get rewards. Some players will do content because they get rewards and they enjoy it. At some point, if you get no more rewards that are useful to you, you're doing that content still because you enjoy the content. Like, I do raids a lot because I like doing raids. I find them fun. The rewards I get from raids, like, if you try to distill it down to a gold value per hour, are really, really bad. Like, fractals, to me, the gold reward is really bad. It's pretty good for other people. Like, why do I not farm? I don't enjoy farming like Drizzlewood Coast. Some people do like doing that. So at some point, it does get down to what do you enjoy. If you don't care about the rewards, it's just all that's left is because you enjoy the content. But there are a lot of players that choose what they want to do each time they play based off of, like, hey, is this worth my time? Like, do I enjoy it, and is it worth my time? And to a lot of people, it's not, because, like, the reward sucks, so I'm not going to do that content.
Yeah, so, like, for raids specifically, just before you say something, Sam, for raids, I mean, a lot of people really, like, mostly the casuals, when I say a lot of people, the ones who are not really into raids, they will literally go in, they will do raids for as long as possible until they get what they want out of raids, and then they just never do it again, right? Compared to the small amount of you guys, the group of people who still do raids because either they want to get better or that's just content that they personally enjoy.
I mean, what I would like to say, actually, and I think that's going to answer what both of you guys are feeling about this, is the difference between enjoying the gameplay and having a desire for a specific reward. If your reward is purely tied to an amount of gold that you need, then you will farm whatever gives you the most gold that is still within your reach. Not everyone can farm 42. Like, you actually need an SSD, decent computer so you can load fast and everything to make it efficient. Let's put that aside. So either you want something specific and you farm a map that gives you the currency or whatever is going to give you gold in the most efficient way for you, or you actually enjoy playing the game for the gameplay. And that is what is actually the case for people doing raids, fractals outside of 42 farm naturally, or dungeons or something like this, is because you enjoy the gameplay that happens there. Like I personally enjoy doing rotations on raid bosses because it's fun. I see numbers. I like numbers. When my bar is bigger than the other's bar, I feel better. I like it. So I'm gonna play raid. All right, raid give you no money. I could actually just log into Guild Wars 2, log in my 22 accounts, get my gold that way, and do nothing else, because that means I play 5 minutes a day, and at the end of the month, I have 1.5k gold. So I logged in 150 minutes for 1.5k gold, and I think that's fair. That's 10 gold a minute. I'm cool with that. Good gold making. That's all for me. Yeah, that's not what I do, because I enjoy playing raids, because I enjoy doing that stuff. So I'm gonna actually do it. And that's literally the only reason. Like, there are people who are going to play raids because they want the reward behind it, and there are people who are going to play it because they like what it is. That is exactly how Guild Wars 2 is designed, and how games are supposed to be designed at the start. You either play it because you have a goal in it, or you play it because you like it. I still play Pokemon. And by playing Pokemon, I don't need competitive. I still go out and catch Pokemons, which is fucking dumb. But I like seeing the ball wiggling. That's fun.
Sam, I agree with you. The problem is that for the people that enjoy raids, we're doing raids because we don't care about the rewards anymore. We were rewarded along the way to get to that point, right? Yeah. Maybe it's because you enjoy the challenge. Maybe it's because we got rewards along the way, so we had some incentive to keep doing that. Maybe raids are a pretty good way to get a lot of ascending gear. So we got that along the way, and then by the time we got to that point where the rewards didn't matter anymore, we're like, hey, we actually still like this content. We're going to keep doing it. So exactly. The rewards are usually seen as an incentive to get people to go to that content. It's just like, hey, look at all the stuff you could get. Let's start doing it. So that you get introduced to it, you start doing it, and then over time you find out you enjoy it. And then even by the time you finish you get all the rewards you want from this, you don't care the rewards more. Now you're like, hey, I actually still do like doing this. I still find it fun. I'm going to keep doing it. So a lot of times that carrot is to get people to go to that content, right? Like Silver Waste. Okay, some people enjoy doing Reba farming. Those people I don't understand, but they do it. Some people enjoy farming Drizzlewood. Some people enjoy farming Dragonfall. Do you think those same people would have ever even tried doing it if there was no reward at all? Like, it's just like, hey, you can run around in circles in Silver Waste for hours on end just because it's fun. You don't get no rewards. You just do it because it's fun. Like, nobody's going to start off doing that just because it's fun. They're going to do it because they got a carrot to go in there. So it's the same thing with raids. Like, everybody, you get rewards, and then eventually you don't care about the rewards and you just enjoy the content. That carrot, though, they still need a good enough carrot to get the people to consider starting that content in the first place, right? So they got to get to that point, and then eventually it turns into, oh, I just really like this content. I'm going to keep doing it. So now when you balance it out, it's just like, okay, we can't, we were talking about resources before. So if we use Verdant Brink as an example, if you were originally doing Verdant Brink because you needed airship parts to get your Gen 2 legendaries, you needed it for whatever unlocks you wanted to get, you needed it for some achievements, and then you found out you just really liked it. Now you don't care about the airship parts. You got 2 million airship parts in your wallet. You're just doing it because you like the meta event, right? There's a progression that you go through where it's just like, hey, I wanted to experience this new content because it's new. Oh, look, there's some rewards in here. I want to keep doing this content now because I want those rewards. Oh, now I got all the rewards. I actually just like doing this content now. I'm going to keep doing it because I've done it so often. I like doing it. There's stages to it. Not everybody is going to jump straight to the point where it's like, I like doing this content because I like doing that content, even though it gives me nothing, right? There's stages that everybody's going to go along the way. Can anybody in chat tell me that they have content that they enjoy in Guild Wars 2, that they decided to do it because they enjoyed it right off the bat, even though it gave them nothing? It didn't give them any AP. It didn't give them any recognition. It didn't give them any gold. It didn't give them any drops. They just like doing it. Just because
honestly, someone said but
it's enjoyable.
So PvP and World War, so a lot of the people that started those without the rewards, it's because they enjoy the competitive nature of it.
Yeah.
Right? That's your drive to do it. That's your motivation to do it. And what did Arenanet do to try to get more people into PvP? They added a lot of rewards to it. Right? They added a lot of rewards to it. So the competitive aspect is your motivation. That's your reward for it.
Someone was saying
So,
WW gives
I'm
a lot
more-
of rewards, a lot of them. I mean, WW actually is on the lowest tier of the rewards. It's actually a known thing that World vs. World players are very poor in the game. But yeah, and I guess that's more of ness because like, yeah, WW is more competitive. Maybe I guess that's just it appeal. A lot of people love the appeal of that for that reason. But here's the thing, no MMO, you could tell me an MMO, and I might be wrong, but majority of the style of any content you create for any game has to have some carrot approach to it, like you're saying, right? There has to be some incentive to get somebody into that content, and if they just enjoy that content in the long run, that's basically that's a fun thing for them, right? They can continue it or not. Something that I feel like is also very missed in MMOs is that, you know, you want to have fun at the end of the day. I mean, if you do raids and the only thing you say is like raids never gives me anything good, then it's just like at some point, like if you've done, you know, 2,000, 3,000 hours of raiding and you've gotten everything that you could get out of raids, you've done what you have had to do for that content. Like now what you're doing is just if you enjoy it or not. So for someone to kind of throw the idea, it's like, I've done thousands of hours of this content, but now it's boring because it doesn't reward me anything. Well, how much more do you think you need to do? Like, I mean, do you want to expect them to keep adding more rewards? That's plausible, but it's at the same time, you're just kind of like, it's the same argument you give someone when it's like, oh, I finished the hard mode story of this game. It took me 25 hours. This game is boring. There's nothing else to do. Like, that game wasn't meant to be played for like 500 hours. That game was meant to be played for a certain amount of hours. You've achieved everything you have to achieve in that game, and now if you just continue playing it, you're good. If you enjoy it, you enjoy it. So I think some people also miss that aspect of a lot of content. Like if you're gonna put in 3,000-4,000 hours in any content in Guild Wars 2, and then you're gonna complain there's no more rewards, like you've done so much. Like, so what are you expecting, right?
I mean, at that point, I think that your reward in the game is just to enjoy it.
Yeah.
If you've done it that much, like it can't, because if your single only motivation, like you didn't care about enjoyment factor, you didn't care about anything else, you didn't care about spending time with friends or anything like that, your only single motivation was my gold number in my wallet, you would just play the TP and do nothing else. Like there's nothing that beats that for gold making. Now, if you enjoy that too, like I enjoy making spreadsheets for that, then bonus, right? But if I didn't enjoy making spreadsheets, I wouldn't really care about making gold on the training list. So
I'll probably quit the game if I wasn't invested in the whole economy.
Yeah, I probably would have just quit the game.
So it's just like, yeah, different strokes.
But like, you know, the people I do raids with, like you look at the other people and win, none of those people care about the raid rewards. None of them do. Like if we get an infusion, it's like, oh yeah, that's kind of nice. But nobody actually cares about the raid drops, because otherwise we wouldn't be doing bosses we've already killed that week already. Again,
yeah,
like we have other reasons for doing it, because we want to see higher DPS numbers, we want to see lower clear times, we want to see cleaner kills, all that kind of stuff. Our motivation is no longer a gold incentive. Our motivation is more our own personal improvement.
Actually, you know, that actually lets us like segue into the topic we're at back at the very start. Like, you originally have an incentive to get into something, or to go to a map, or to play a specific type of content. If Arenanet was able to renew incentives, or to reward the people who stayed loyal, so to speak, to specific content, then it would all be a very virtuous circle and would solve some issues when it comes to the in-game economy.
Yeah,
let's say you get extra material bag this week when you do, I don't know, silver waste farm. People farming silver waste going to generate more mats. That mats gets fixed. Or you just make it so that like mat drops, or like map drops in general, are not randomized. And you tell players it's randomized, but you really just choose a specific list of things that are going to drop to create specific scarcity. You know, there are so many ways that the economy could be regulated if Arenanet just took into account where people are playing and changed what drops regularly.
You know, like
Yeah.
those shooter
Being
games
more
that
hands-on with the economy.
you know those like shooter games like let's just say Call of Duty for example, where they introduce a bonus on a particular game mode, like Team Deathmatch for example has this specific bonus this weekend, or if you do search and destroy, or like literally game mode specific bonuses. And we do have that, like we have bonus weekends for PvP, World vs World, we have bonus weekends for those. I you know,
Those are like special events. We get them like once a year.
but if they did more of that, like that would honestly, like Sam is right, it incentivizes someone to go back to like PvE for a bit, and it's like, oh, you know what, like let's go back to that, you know, and it kind of does that. So MM is the
So-
first to Dubai. What?
Weekly events.
Look at the
right?
post before.
What about like Guild Wars 1 had so many good things with it. So Guild Wars 1, we had weekly bonus events where it's like, hey, you get extra faction points on these areas. If you like during this one, we get double PvP points, double whatever points, double drops, whatever. If you, so they had weekly events that like weekly bonus or weekend bonuses to get people to go do, to target people to go do this type of content more. I can, that'd be something interesting that they could try to do in Guild Wars 2 if they tried to. Like they were trying to do that with like the Mystic Forge, like those community goals for a while. They did those with like the boss rushes and stuff like that.
Boss rushes are good, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
it got a ton of people to go farm world bosses, right?
Because that's very clever, because you have a community of people who already do meta events and world bosses, and then you just create an incentive for other people to join them, and then suddenly these maps are revitalized, populated, and you may actually, I don't know, going to the chatter or meme like this that normally doesn't get much people playing it, suddenly there is a full map, and that's crazy.
Well,
and that
and it's
I
not
think
just
that-
incentive. It's not just incentive. It's exposure. Because let's say some of those players that said, "Oh, what's this event? I'm going to go try this out," and then they say, like, "Oh, look at all these other people that already do this normally. Like maybe I'll start doing this on a regular basis with them."
They also like
it's not
encourage
just incentive.
more guild activity, because a lot of guilds, for
Yeah,
example, like there's guilds who specifically run those events on a daily, weekly basis. So it's like it also, in a way, it kind of enhances the community, where somebody who never thought to try this content, like you said, will be like, I might give this a shot a bit more. Oh, I met a cool guild. Let me join them. Let me see what's going on with them. And it like, you know, those are just minor details, but I feel like those minor details of even when you have a person who just found out that this content is not bad and they join a guild, that kind of goes a long way. That's like another connection for someone to meet another set of people in the game. It's small, but I think it's probably one of the pivotal things in those reasons, right?
Yeah, so but they could use these bonus weekends to draw exposure to different areas of the game that, you know, they want to inject some new life into. Because again, there could be some people that you know, a fractal bonus weekend, there could have been people like, hey, I've never tried fractals before, but hey, look, I see this thing in the top right corner of my screen to log in that I get extra stuff when I go to fractals this week. So maybe I'll go try it. Like, what if they did a raid weekend bonus? Heck, maybe if they even timed that to be at the same time, like the same week as like the ERP or something like that. And now you have people who are trying raids for the first time because they're being pointed in the game to go try these things out. And then they go into Twitch and like, oh crap, there's a 10,000 people. Well, hopefully 10,000 people watching this raid tournament. And it's like, cool, I kind of want to try doing that too. Like, they could use these things to try to guide the community to have more interaction with certain things. And
Please unlock your device.
There was
for
something I talked
shut up, phone.
there,
Nice one.
there was
Arenanet is listening to you.
Yeah,
Direct
they-
to your
they
phone.
got
Apparently,
me now.
Google Assistant heard me talking about this and decided
Google's
that
like reporting your
this
your
was
stuff.
like a request I wanted to make on there.
So someone actually something that
So
we talked
I mean,
about
there are
with
things that
Sneb.
could do that.
Yeah, no, I talked with Sneb on this in the previous episode, and he was saying something that Arenanet could do is, why don't they work with such communities? Like, if you know, kind of like took the time to work, for example, like if you were to do an event that was more tailored towards fractals or raids or PvP or World vs World or things that like are more or less like you'll have a community, or like you said, a map, for example, a map incentive that has bonus rewards for that week. Why doesn't Arenanet take that stance of like, partnering up with some people who are known in the community for that type of reason, right? Like if you went to Silver Wastes, there's a couple, 3-4 Silver Waste guilds, the big ones at least. Partner up with those, or if you did raids, or if you did PvP, or if you did fractals, kind of like a way not only showcasing some of these guilds, but then also allowing those guilds to take charge to lead that content for that week if they were introducing bonus incentives. So it's something like that would actually really help out. Remember, is this your partner plugin speech to Arenanet? Well, no, I mean, I've done like 50 plugin speeches and I'm pretty sure I'm not getting it. So, but yeah, if they did focus on certain communities, they could definitely help kind of like show players around, because those are the communities that like carry the game, right? The ones that are like showing people how to get things done in whatever gameplay.
I don't know. Everything we're talking about, it's like, this is what hit my head. It's like everything we're talking about again goes to community management.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me
Everything goes back to that.
Let me actually, like dab in just a little bit. The whole partner program is, like, without going too much into details about what it entails for a partner. Basically, you are sponsored by Arenanet with specific perks and some help when it comes to getting exposure, getting better reach, stuff like that. And also like material, let's say like pictures, preview, all of that. So that's what you get. And what you're meant to do is help out Arenanet in getting exposure, getting their own reach. The way it works is double. First, you are to, of course, make content about Guild Wars 2 because you're a partner. That goes hand in hand. So far, so very logical. But also, when something new comes in from Arenanet's side, they give us an opportunity to accompany it. So without going into too many details, I can give an example. Let's say when like the new player experience happened, or when there were like community events where people would be more likely to try the game, like the price of POF dropping or something, we would be warned in advance, so that we could, of course, prepare our social medias like, oh my god, Guild Wars 2 minus 50% this weekend, make sure to use my link, blah blah. But also so we could make content tailored towards a new player to make them more likely to, of course, watch our content, grow our own channels, but also get them to maybe watch that, realize that Guild Wars 2 is on sale, buy Guild Wars 2. It goes hand in hand. Like the whole usage of the partner program is like this. It's a 50-50. You help me, I help you. There's no helping out a community event. There's no, I mean, of course, now there is, but much less earlier. It's just they rely a lot on us to create content to hype the game up, when they should actually be self-hyping, and we plug on that, which is the idea that I had originally before I got into the partner program. And then I realized that everybody kind of does their own thing that they like about the game. They get helped in what they like, and we help out when something comes in.
I think.
See?
I mean, yeah. Again, I think there's some ways they could maybe further enhance the partner program. I wouldn't say like it absolutely stands for nothing, as Enko's typing in the chat, but there's definitely a lot left on the table that they could improve on. Definitely a lot more, such as, for example,
Community management.
But then also, I mean, the partner program is specific to people who create content, right? And this is something I also talked with Snebzor before. Well, define content, because right now you have to be a streamer or a YouTuber to do that, right? But like, what about the communities who like host fashion contests? No. What about those communities that like host events like beetle races or fashion contests or griffin races or jumping puzzle events? Or not all those communities are partners. Name me.
If they're actually organized as an actual community with a website and a structure, they can apply for partnership. They can do it. You don't have to be a streamer or a YouTuber. Like there are websites that are partnered.
The fact that Arenanet won't even tell you, hey, your application was rejected, the fact that they won't even do that tells me that it's just run poorly.
Also, I
Like you could apply, and they don't even bother to reply back.
I applied 2 weeks ago recently again. And
like
no,
Twitch,
nothing.
Twitch, when you apply for partnership, they'll send you a response, go like, "Hey, we're reviewing your application. You just keep up what you're doing. We're going to look at this." And then after they finish the review, they'll come back and go, "It's like, hey, we decided that we're rejecting your application. Just keep doing it, and they'll apply back again later." Anet, you don't even know if they even saw your application. Like maybe it went to some intern's mailbox that got fired. That's no longer there. They don't see it. They don't reply back to it. You have no idea if they even saw it or not.
That's where the difference is.
Even a small thing like that, it like tells me that like they don't really care about the partner program.
No, it's not that they don't care about the partner program. It's when you look at the difference between Twitch and Arenanet, the main difference is manpower. Arenanet has a main office with employees in Seattle. They have a secondary office in the UK where actually the partner program management is. They have the Q&A service and the customer support services, which are offloaded to some offshore place. I don't know exactly where. The people who manage the partner program originally started with 2. If I am not mistaken, that was David and Stephanie. Then it was only 1 person, and now it's again 2 people. So the applications that they get are entirely reviewed by what used to be 1 person and now 1.5, because it's someone new, of course. When it comes to the applications that they receive, it's extremely complex to go through applications. So there is a huge backlog that seemingly never disappears. That huge backlog is, let's say, because we don't realize that, but everybody and their moms who's played Guild Wars 2 once on Twitch or made 1 video on YouTube applies. So it's like hundreds of applications that are left.
Why not have better requirements then?
Because they didn't write down requirements, everyone just applies. And you can't stop someone from applying because you can't check on someone before the application gets in. So they get the application with the links of the people, they go check the channel, then maybe they can screen whether it's sufficient or not sufficient, but they're going to go through the content to see the mindset of the person, the type of content that they produce, how they promote themselves, how they would actually talk about Arenanet, etc. You just imagine the amount of hours that you need to put in to review 1 person. Let's say 1 person wanted to review you, Enko. They would check your past broadcast. They would check your YouTube videos. They will look through all of that. Do you know how many hours of content you have included?
I have a question for you, Sam.
Do you know what it says to apply to Anet partner on their website? I'm looking at the partner program right now. This is what it says.
I haven't looked at it for a while.
Are you a content creator playing Guild Wars 2? Do you run a podcast, fan site, video channel, or live stream channel, and would you like to collaborate closely with Arenanet? We are opening a new program where we will be working closely with content creators, helping grow their channels, gain visibility, even help them with revenue generation, doing what they like doing the most. With the form below, we are inviting content creators to tell us about their channels to be part of the Arenanet Partner Program. If you're creating Guild Wars 2 related content, please tell us using the form below. If they have certain requirements that they're looking for on what they want from a content creator, why not just state what they're looking for? So it's just like, hey, if you're a Twitch streamer and you only get like 10 average viewers and you only stream like once a month. Actually, if you do that, you're probably gonna get like 2 viewers. Then hey, you don't meet the minimum requirements of what we're looking for a partner. Why don't just say something like Twitch partner? Like they have requirements for what they want for affiliate, so you can't apply for affiliate until you meet these things. For Twitch partner, if they say you have to meet these requirements, you can't apply until you meet these. Even if you do meet those requirements, they may reject you. They at least tell you, but they at least tell you like, hey, this is the minimum like screening we have before you can apply for partner. Why doesn't Anet do something like that?
By the way,
then we know what they're looking for.
With Twitch partner, you don't necessarily have to have 75 concurrent viewers.
They're happy-go-lucky mindset. Most people consider the Anet partner program to be ridiculous and stupid because it means nothing.
No. So here's my question to you, Sam. So you mentioned that there's a backlog, Sam. You mentioned that there's a backlog of applications, right?
I don't know how many. Back when I applied, the backlog was big enough that I was told specifically to remind the person in charge that I applied twice.
How do you get that person?
My case
the
was very
question.
specific.
So
My
here's
case,
the question. I know some
tell you
people.
how, because that
I'm
would
not
be
gonna.
kind of
I'm not gonna like. I'm not gonna like say too many people, but I know some people who have basically applied since maybe last year and have applied for either monthly basis, weekly basis. I mean, I know someone who applies on a weekly basis, and they're all like very. I would say that they're very deserving, or not, I won't say deserving, but they're very good, strong candidates to actually become partner. Like they basically exceed these requirements, whatever these requirements are. We don't know, but they, from what the looks of it, of how you get partner, they kind of like would match that criteria. And none of these people have even heard a response so much as a reach out. And this is years. This is going back last year at least.
To give you an idea, I'm going to tell you exactly what happened in my case, because my case is so specific that it's going to show you how, I wouldn't use the word ridiculous, but how weird it can get. Okay, so I started streaming in 2014, July. I actually was getting decent viewers at the time. Like the Guild Wars 2 Twitch scene was very different. It wasn't like mainly Teapot and another like 5-6 people getting numbers up. It was actually just dungeon peoples getting always the same amount of people and hosting each other in a fashion. Like Nike did the night. He would host someone from EU in the morning. The host train would go throughout. I would get it in the evening, send it back to Nike afterwards, etc. Just this fashion. I applied. Nothing. I made a YouTube channel. I started getting some videos. I started getting some views. Applied again. Nothing. I kept applying here and there, maybe every 2-3 months, throughout 2015, 16, and 17. Bear in mind that in the meantime, in 2015, I actually joined the raid testing team, in which I stayed until mid-2016. And then, finally, in 2017, I went to Gamescom in Germany, where the partner program manager was. I wasn't even invited to the evening, but some random French people who were partners realized who I was when I was having a smoke 2 streets from the venue. And they were like, yo, we're missing some of our guests. You want to get in? I was like, yeah, sure. Sign me up. I'll be whoever you want. Just get me in. So I got into the party and talked with the partner manager. And then I was told, okay, like I saw your applications. I get so many of them that I can't give enough time to yours because there are so many people applying, because I have hundreds of them. And because given how our policy is, I need to look through every single one of them and give them a chance. Because that's what she was told to do. I don't know if this has changed, but that's how it was at the
fair. But like, you obviously
So-
like out of like,
And then,
if you
and then she was
review-
like, I saw you applying, just remind me to actually look at yours first so that I can actually give you an answer, because I met her and because we talked about that.
All right, so
that's a
Sam,
different
when I
case.
say like
you're explaining a very specific case where you somehow got their attention like by mistake. Not even that, by mistake, really, right? And then I mean, like, well, that's not the case for everybody. I know somebody who got, I'm not gonna say the name as well, but I know someone who got partnered just because simply they were also at the right place, right time. They were hosting something, and then they were like, hey, you seem to be doing some of these for the community, we'll give you partnership for that, right? But then out of, let's say, those thousands of applications, you know, 2-5, I'm sure it's thousands and the thousands, and most of them are probably
that's
like,
my point.
Why
Why don't
like
they just
duds.
put requirements down?
Yeah,
Why don't they put what they're looking for in partners so they're not getting thousands and thousands of applications though?
Probably
That's my point.
because that's not the way they decided to market themselves, and this makes us all go back-
Marketing, okay. What marketing?
But like, come on, Enko, just bear with me for a second. Remember what we said about who plays Guild Wars 2 earlier? Who brings in the money? Who's doing what?
Casuals.
Casual players treating it as a side game, coming in. That's exactly.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, like,
So
I
if
just
they
read
don't-
what
don't
the
give
requirements
this type of
are
people-
for the
but if you
Arenanet
don't
partner
give
program.
this type of people a chance, then they would just be like lying to themselves, so to speak.
But I mean,
Okay,
that's why
the
we're-
partners
realistically, you
should
tell
not
me
be
this, Sam.
players.
You tell me
Partners should not
this.
be players that play once a month.
Yeah, like you
I'm fine with saying that.
You can't tell me, Sam, that all 1,000, 2,000 of those applications are hard-earned, genuine applications. Like if it's basically
A solid amount of them are from people who only streamed once, and maybe when the partner gets to them, the person has stopped streaming 6 months ago.
So
Quite
why
possible.
not just state what they're looking for? Like you look through their partner program. If you go to the partner program website and like you look at, they have a list of all their partners, and you look at these people.
It's not
There's a
up to
ton
date.
of people on here. I haven't seen them stream
It's not up to date.
Anet for
With
yeah.
who
They
the
need it.
partners are.
So that's a bad representation of the partner program. Then if they're not going to keep
They
that
once-
stuff up to date.
Okay, they once tried to fix that page and change the people who were on that page, and it actually broke.
Okay, actually, there's another link they
No joke.
have.
They tried to do that, and it fucked up my YouTube link, and I complained 3 times to get it fixed.
so
Okay, well,
It
I
broke someone
just
else
found
to fix me.
there's another link that says, okay, this all sounds great. How do I get in? They say you need to be a fairly active Guild Wars 2 content creator. That said, you don't need to have a massive audience or follower base. Welcome all sorts of creators from newcomers to seasoned creators. You'll need to provide a link to a permanent place where creations live, whether it's earlier blog, YouTube channel, or Twitch channel, your Deviant art profile, your Facebook page. It's up to you. We're looking for enthusiastic Guild Wars 2 content creators. Our goals are to support and gain visibility. Content creators share their creations and make others of them. Okay, they also say they regularly review submissions and will let new partners in the program from time to time. If it's only from time to time, they should say when signups are open. So they're just not constantly flooding in. They're just this huge backlog. They should also be
Honestly-
replying back to the application if someone gets rejected. I also still think they should have minimum requirements on it, so they're not getting flooded with those requirements for people that they're not going to do.
I honestly don't think it's an issue that they don't even like demote people who don't stream. Like I actually don't have an issue with that because Twitch partner program, if you get partner in Twitch, you could like Twitch rarely ever removes someone's partnership unless they did something drastic. So I'm not even that doesn't even bother me that like Anet won't remove someone's partnership if they haven't.
No,
Like,
yeah, that's
been
not
active.
that big of a deal.
But
They also should be advertising, look at all of our partners. And then when you go through it, it's just like, none of these people have actually, like, Twitch doesn't have a page of, look at all the people that are Twitch partners for this game. They don't do that. Anet does. Anet has a page on their site that goes, these are all of our Anet partners.
Does World of
Why
Warcraft
have
do
that page?
Like a genuine question: does World
Why
of
have that
Warcraft
page
or
if you're
Final
not
Fantasy,
going to keep it up to date?
do they do anything like that where they advertise their game partners?
BDO did. When
BDO.
BDO came out, they actually on Twitter shouted out every week the partners, the creators, like, this creator focuses on this area of the game. Check them out. It actually is the case with some studios, and we just need to acknowledge that Arenanet as a studio does things a certain way. And I'm like, I got partnered on a streak of events that probably nobody else is gonna get. Like, I would be genuinely surprised if anybody else had it happen the way I did. However, when it comes to requirements and the way they advertise it, it fits or it goes in line with what they want it to be, I assume. Some partners back in the days were very interesting people. The name is currently escaping me, but it was this person, Sugar something, who back around HUT was making exclusively lore videos, reviewing races, places, etc. Maybe one video came out every 5 weeks, but each of them was super well crafted, very interesting. That person got partnered super fast because that content was very specific, interesting, in line with what Arenanet wanted. I don't know if that girl got lucky, but it was super good content. Like,
So-
it's just they have a line, and then you gotta get lucky. Be applying at the time when they're looking to get people that match a specific requirement, because not everyone that is partnered does exactly the same thing. Like, I'm probably the only partner who talks about the economy.
Well,
And when
here's
I applied as a partner, I didn't even make that many economy videos.
okay, Sam. But here's the other issue with it. Like, if you go around Twitch and you just read Twitch chat, do you know what the meme response is about getting partnered nowadays is on for Anet? Do you know what I've seen in other Twitch channels, just like when people are making fun of the Anet partner program, about what you need to be able to do to get Anet partner?
Tell me. I don't know the memes because I actually don't hang out in Twitch chat that much.
You need to be, well, this is a stupid sexist comment that people are saying, but this is what usually pops up in Twitch chat. You need to be a female with big boobs. to become an ANET partner.
What?
Now.
No.
That's really true.
That's
That's
I see that. I see that.
There's a lot of
I know people are
That's
joking
very
about
meh.
that.
there's a lot of
I
women
know
who
people
stream
are
Guild Wars 2 who
joking
don't
about
even
that.
do any of that. So that's kind of
I know
insulting.
people are joking about that when they say that in Twitch chat, but that's the most common statement I see on other Twitch channels when people are asking about the ANET partner program.
Oh, actually,
It's sad.
Okay, so
It's
Enko,
probably not true, but that's the main comment I see. These people are just making fun of the partner program nowadays. Like what that statement is probably not true, but the problem is that people are disdainful enough of the partner program that they're making fun of it now.
so this is not
That's
kind of
part of that's
relevant.
a problem.
This is not kind of relevant.
That's
to
a
what
problem.
Yeah, I want to say something it's not really relevant to what you just said, but more of to go about like, well, how do they answer applications? So someone up in the chat like a little while ago, like 5 minutes ago, Alpha said Xandri got it in a few days. So for those that don't know, Xandri, she's a player from Final Fantasy, and she's actually very deserving of partner. Like she has a pretty big presence to bring to the game. So for her to get partner, that should be like 100%. Like there's no reason to doubt that. But it goes to what Enko is saying. Like there's no communication to the people who apply on a weekly, monthly basis. And then someone who just came to the game, she just got it in like her first 2-3 weeks, maybe in the game. So
Exactly.
I'm not gonna say that she
think
doesn't-
about
she absolutely 100% should be a partner. She's
she does.
definitely a great person to be partner. But there's that disconnect when you have people who've been playing this game for that long and not getting it, and then you have someone because they happen to bring a different audience to the game, are simply easily able to get it, right? And this is not just to this person, anyone.
And then not only have they been playing the game for years and supporting Arenanet for years, they don't even get it. They don't even get a response from ANET about their application. And then all of a sudden they see a new Twitch streamer and goes like, "New player, new streamer for the game, ANET partner." How do you think that makes these people who have been supporting the game for years feel? Right?
They don't want, it's because we're rich. They don't want more rich people as partner. Sam is enough for their taste. Well, no, I don't know if it comes down to being a baron. I actually have no idea if like
I
us
don't think that's the case. I'm trying to find the YouTuber I was talking about earlier, but I really can't find her channel.
See, me personally, I don't really have a say in this. I don't want to be an ANET partner. Like, there's that stigma there's that perception that you might have some insider information. I don't want insider information. I don't want even people to think I have insider information. I've never applied to it. I don't want it. I do have friends though that have applied for it and that stream a lot.
Yeah, I mean, funny enough,
Like
I've
stream 6
changed
hours a day.
I've kind of changed the content of my channel to be more informative on YouTube, where I start posting small little guides that appeal to casuals, kind of like introductory stuff for them. I don't know, like it's been actually successful for my YouTube, but then again, it's funny because everyone tells me like if you make guides, you'll get partner. Well, I don't know, man. I've seen people who have like 200-300 followers on Twitch, a couple hundred, not even maybe a YouTube presence, and they have partner in like a record amount of time, whereas you have people like me and a good amount of other players who also are very strong candidates to be a partner and doing stuff for the community, like hosting events, hosting competitions, hosting contests, trying to even putting out way more rewards than ANET could ever dream of giving a partner, right? Like let me go to Masters of the Arena. Enko, you and I and Cassiano put in basically 80% of that prize pool. That's more than ANET actually ever did for that tournament, but they did, of course, give them the titles. I mean, I would say that was a cool addition. The players also got a very cool title that you can never get unless you were a person that achieved or won that tournament. So it's a cool touch. But then when you have people in this game that can put out rewards better than what you can as a company put out, like there's a little of a disconnect there. I mean, you got people who are putting that, to me, that's playtime hours. The amount it takes for me to get that gold and just to really give it out to a community, that's hours I have to later go back and like make sure I cover that gold. It's not like you just throwing out gold. Oh yeah, he's a baron, he can make it up. No, that's playtime hours. That's another 10 hours of Guild Wars 2 trading for me. That's another. It's not as simple as you guys think. So when Enko, for example, or Yender or any other person puts out those rewards, it's not as simple as like snap their fingers, they'll get the gold back. Like we have to put in another 2 weeks of work to get whatever we put in. right? So
I don't know that 130K I threw into Masters Arena, that took a bit to make back.
right, like it took like some months, right? And people think it's like, oh yeah, it's fine. That's not fine.
Like that was 50 legendaries. that took a little bit of time to make back.
I also disappeared after that. Like after 220,000 gold, I literally a month later dipped out, and I didn't make that money back until like the end of December, because like I had been out of the game for about 3 months.
I don't know.
So I mean, we're kind of off topic here with the whole.
Well,
thing.
again,
I mean,
this
like,
entire
I can't-
point with
I
the
can't
Arenanet partner
exactly
program.
answer the questions. Like you guys
My-
have
that-
questions, and I can't answer them.
My entire point with the Arenanet partner program is just that it's an issue with community management. Like Arenanet if they want to actually have the partner program flourish and like actually mean something, they actually need to manage it better. If they have 1 or 2 people just reviewing applications, like what are the partners expected to do afterwards? Because like right now, it feels like once you guys have a following, they kind of just it feels the same way as their marketing strategy. They're kind of like, Sam, you're a partner now. Just do whatever you want and just like keep doing your thing, and it's good because you're a partner now. It's just like with the marketing. They expect the player base to advertise this game for them. So they don't have to do anything with marketing. They had a marketing director. He actually even left a while ago. He was the guy that had the big poncho at the Path of Fire or at the Iceberg Saga reveal. But what does that guy even do? What marketing does Arenanet do? The only marketing I ever see are ads online to people that already play Guild Wars. Right? Like the Arenanet partner program should be an extension of marketing where it's just like they have these guys designated as partners. So on YouTube and Twitch, on Facebook, wherever they're doing this, it's advertising the game that this guy's an Arenanet partner, and that he's promoting the game. And it's like there should be some kind of feedback from the partners. I think the partner program could be kind of combined with the community management thing, where it's like the Arenanet partners can all be like, I know this is memey, but I've been playing it a lot still, but Raid Shadow Legends. Do you guys know how their content creators work? They have a content creator Discord that all of those content creators are in, like Hell Hades, Ash, all those guys are in there. And they are in regular communications with the community manager. They're like, hey, this is a problem with the game. This is overpowered. This needs to be worked on. These are issues that we're getting from our communities about the game. And they're all talking with the community manager. And then they have like weekly posts like, hey, this is stuff we heard from the community and we're working on, or like we're changing. There's other things with RSL that are a problem. Like it's a huge money grab. It really is. But their community management actually is okay. Now with Arenanet, Sam, do you have any communications that you ever collaborate with any other Arenanet partners that Arenanet has organized? Like a forum, something where all the content creators, all the partners are in there, and you guys can provide inputs and feedback or ask questions? Or is that under an NDA?
I am under NDA. There is a lot of things that I am not allowed to discuss, which is why I need to think before answering, which is hard because I'm French and we talk without thinking.
So actually, Somali makes a good point. I mean, everyone comes off as talking crap about Arenanet, but it's because the existing community wants to see Arenanet succeed. So yeah, I mean, I know there's a lot of sometimes negativity, but again, we want this game to succeed. So we're not talking because we hate it. We're talking because we want to see the improvements. Sorry, go on.
Arenanet's been part of my life for 16 years now, guys. I started playing Guild Wars 1 in 2004. Well, 17 years now, actually. Wow.
Everyone comes off talking crap about Arenanet, but it's also because the existing community wants to see Arenanet succeed. That's actually very wrong. The existing community wants to see attention being given to what they want. They don't want the studio to succeed. They want what they like to be better. That's actually the way you should say it. Why am I saying that? Because if we all really wanted Arenanet to succeed, then we would buy more accounts and get gems. If you want Arenanet to succeed, that's what you do. You give money to the company. Like there are some companies that I want to see succeeding, such as the bakery down the street, which is why I go get my bread there, even though I can make bread at home. Right? Works the same way. This puts aside, to answer your question, when it comes to the partnership places, I believe that even being under NDA, there is some stuff I can say. There is a place where all the partners are together. We have a mean of communication together. I'm not going to get into too many details with that, but there is a place like this where there are also some devs, where there's also the community management that exists, that is here, and the partner program management. It's a big place in which we all are, where we can discuss, where we can get into calls every now and then when there is going to be a meeting or something. That happens. I'm not going to go into much details about that, but it's something.
Mm-hmm.
There were some attempts at making partners collab together, and I have 2 unpublished videos from that. I made a segment about PvP alongside fellow partners Kroof and Jebro, if you guys know them. Kroof makes regular Guild Wars 2 content. Jebro used to be the main PvP shoutcaster for the game, who even did the live tournament shoutcasts. So he's someone in the community, even though we've forgotten about him since he went to the Elder Scrolls Online. This actually happened. I also have a partner, like a collab video with fellow French people from Le Bus Magique, which is like a website that does the same as Delphi or other sites with guides for French people. We made a video together talking about unidentified gear and salvaging kits, but we didn't publish it either. Like they already had something on their website and I didn't get to publish my end of it. There were some collaboration attempts, but at the end of the day, and with the way the partner program is made, it's each person is in there because they have something to bring, because they have their own specificity, and we can just stay on our own specificity. We don't exactly mingle. Like we exchange ideas, we talk about the game, we talk about what's new, what's not, we talk about some of our impressions of it, but we don't exactly make content together. Like the people who make content together are people who naturally go hand in hand with content making, like Mela, Teapot, Angels, Heartstock. You know, they are from the same community originally, which is Salt. They make content together, like they work together. I personally have no partner that I have ever actively worked with on a project. I work with non-partners.
Yeah,
you guys, Raiding League.
The Raid League is a partner now, so I mean, there's something to that, right? You are working.
Not a partner.
So here's a good example of what I'm talking about, like for community management.
No, sponsored by Arenanet does not equal Arenanet partner.
Oh, I thought they got partnership. That's what I thought.
Ella is a partner, so we got Arenanet to sponsor the event that we endorse, which is very different. That is why some stuff like the Beetle races, the guild jumping puzzles, etc., don't get sponsorship, partnership, or whatever. It needs someone to endorse. Like if Teapot tomorrow got into guild hall jumping puzzles or whatever, and actually decided to make an event around it, the event would get sponsored. Simple as that. Partner goes in, endorses, sponsored.
I mean, yeah, but then I don't know, man. Like, it's
I don't know, Shariana or someone or a booby streamer endorsing it. The event would get.
What?
you all talked about booby streamers earlier. It's been in my head.
Yeah, I don't think that's true. I just say that that's what a lot of people think of the partner program.
It's in my mind, you're the booby streamer enjoyer, enthusiast.
See, here's the thing.
I actually don't watch a lot of Guild Wars 2 streams. I
can't say that about I can't say that about like Anet because their partner program is a little inconsistent. Like, so I wouldn't say like just because you're a female you get partner. Actually, you've noticed there's people who get partnered and you're just like, it's just questionable. It's just male or female. You see someone with barely a presence get partner, and then like the ones who have a presence, it's very inconsistent. It's just very you know.
That's what I'm saying. They should put expectations of what they're looking for on the partner program. So one, it'll filter out applications. So one of the examples I was going to give earlier. So let's say a company posts an advertisement for a job that just like, hey, we're going to pay you $100,000, but we're not going to tell you what the job's for, and there's no minimum requirements posted. How many people are just going to post that because it's like, hey, it could be anything? Oh, we'll just post it, and then they're like, they don't get batch people because it's like, oh, like if they just post it, it's like, hey, here's the minimums. You need to have a bachelor's degree. You need to have a bachelor's degree in this field. You need to have this level of experience. This is why companies on their job postings put this stuff, because it'll have an initial filtering of people that won't get the job. Like they're gonna like, hey, if you don't have the stuff, you're not gonna get the job. So why don't they do that with the Anet partner program? So it's like people have an expectation of what they're looking for partners.
Let me just
if it's because you have a following, then fine.
No, because you can't measure the positive impact of someone based on their following. Just like you can't measure the skills and the qualities of a person based on their years of experiences or their mastery of a given tool.
So someone in chat was saying,
how to do, no, just example, and then I need to answer someone in your chat, So I'm just gonna
Okay.
need to be able to talk for like 2 minutes straight. When it comes to work applications, you can have less years of experience, but be like more open-minded or have more creative ideas, and you're gonna outdo someone in a position. You can be better than them, which is why companies still give a chance to resumes that are lacking in years but can actually show something to make up for that, which is probably the way they're thinking about the Arenanet Partner Program. If you get a YouTuber who doesn't have much reach but can make very well-crafted videos about the lore or something that is eventually going to get people interested in the game, that's going to be great. You know, it's
But
just
you could upload one YouTube video and like apply to the content program.
exactly.
Partner program.
You can't put like a number requirement as an entry, because that means you might pass out the next big thing, which is probably one of their reasons.
Okay,
as well.
so
I'm not sure.
they can
It's
say
clear.
that, hey, these are what we're looking for. You can apply, like this is kind of like what we're looking for. If you don't meet these, you can still apply. We'll still look at your application. But it's just like, if you only have one YouTube video of a 10-second meme on Guild Wars 2, you're technically a Guild Wars 2 content creator at that point.
Yeah,
You
man.
can apply, you meet all the requirements that they have listed on the partner program. That's my point.
so
Yeah,
someone was
It's
telling,
like-
so someone in
it's
chat is saying maybe it's because you guys are too opinionated on Arenanet. I actually have an answer to that. Have you actually ever
Have
watched
you-
the Mighty Teapot or a Wooden
Yeah, have you
Potato
watched Teapot stream?
The guy is very opinionated on Arenanet, so like, it's
We're
definitely not
opinionated because
bad.
we want to help Arenanet. We want Arenanet to acknowledge these problems so that they can
Speaking about that,
improve.
Great segue, Enko. You just segued me so well. I need to answer Wizardy on that topic, and I think that's going to answer what you were talking about as well. You're mixing up Arenanet succeeding and the game succeeding. You say money because this is Arenet's goal, but the measure of success is in active players and playtime retention and community sentiment. That's actually not very true. Like everyone needs
I
to
want
look.
both to succeed.
No, everyone needs to look at what is on top of Arenanet. Arenanet makes the game, gives a direction, decides on content. Except that's actually very wrong. NCSoft needs quarterly revenues coming from Arenanet that will outdo some other games from its catalog, which means that Arenanet must do sales. If Arenanet doesn't do sales, doesn't provide good numbers, then Arenanet bad. Then money doesn't come in, people get laid off, studio gets catches fire, you know?
They get shut down like Cryptic Studios or Paragon Studios do with City of Heroes.
Or like, you know, like Blizzard laid off hundreds of people and then paid the CEO a bunch of money. Same shit, different company. You know, that's how it is in the world of business. There is something above Arenanet that pulls strings. Like money does stuff. And for the people doubting that NCSoft has a hand in that kind of matters, I've seen multiple times some accounts that were botting using very well-known botting programs or hack programs get instantly unbanned because the person using the account was family member with board member NCSoft. Just needed to get a phone call. So it multiple times. It's literally an untouchable account. So yeah, story aside. Wizardy then said, let's not say give Arenanet gold if I won't give us specificity, money is important. They don't care about specificity. Choxy was an economic streamer ages ago and now he's gone. This actually is good because Yender was saying that Barons don't get in and you guys kind of agreed on that. Just Choxy was actually a Word vs. Word streamer who made a lot of content around gambling and then realized that he could get a lot of views doing gambling and economy stuff, just like Bodydog did, just like some other people did. Just like Mockluck has done as well. Like, I don't think Mockluck is any economy streamer, but you can see gold making guides on his channels because that generates views, reach, and people coming to sub to you. So yeah, simple as that.
Someone was saying, let's talk more about game economy because Teapot does this conversation but better. Which actually, I actually wanted to bring us back because we've spent about like 40 minutes, by the way, on this partner community management.
I mean, it's the community management which relates to the economy for me. So.
Something economy return on investment percentage there related to something. Yeah, so I mean, we could go on a lot about it. I mean, this is just one specific part of this. And yeah, again, there could be some things that are improved better. I don't know. Like someone told Tamale mentioned earlier in chat something about like, well, maybe they're just very too busy with Ender Dragons, so it's really slowed down their process. But again, it's like when you see some partners getting it in like record time, I don't buy that excuse, right? That's just either you have someone dedicated to that specific segment of the game or segment of the company or not. So
Partner program is split from rest of devs, for real though. Like they're not even in the same office.
that just kind of proves the point.
Enough said.
Yeah. So
which means that there is no being too busy with End of Dragons.
yeah. So
Unless there is some stuff that they need to participate into the communication that requires that.
That'd be really funny if a developer was also the partner program. You got some guy doing code on the game, and he's also the one responsible for reviewing partner applications. That would be really, really weird.
So
I'm pretty sure that's not the case.
In-game subscription that offers premium extras may very well become the new microtransactions on top of all existing monetization techniques. Services like Fallout First or the Animal Crossing Happy Helper plan offer a glimpse of that potential future. I mean, this was something. I mean, to talk about the subscription issue with Arenanet, I mean, a lot of the player base has agreed that like they'd love to have a subscription for Guild Wars 2 if it meant more or less that like we'd get more content. If it meant like more resources for Arenanet to be able to use that money put into the game. So I in a general consensus, I think a lot of people have been positive. I don't know if that's just because of years of seeing how Arenanet operates as a free-to-play game. You know, it's just buy to play. You buy it once and you have access to the game. Versus the other, you know, MMOs who do have a subscription issue. But then you look at Final Fantasy, and it's hard to say. I mean, how much of an indicator that is, because Final Fantasy, I believe, has like what, like almost. Does it have actually about like 1 million players playing it on and off?
Most probably not. I mean, we can check right now very
500K.
quickly concurrent
Arenanet
players.
is not that far behind. I mean, with Guild Wars 2, it's about 200 to 300k active players, right? 2 to 300k, something like that. So,
MMO subs populations coming from mmopopulation.com. I guess that should be about correct. FF14, 2.4 million players. That doesn't sound logical. I mean, World of Warcraft is at 3.3 million, so maybe that works. Maybe that checks out.
could be, I don't know.
Wars 2, 700k. So, according to first answer from Google, Final Fantasy is about 3 times Guild Wars 2 population-wise.
500k is, I mean, I guess from the research is a little impressive. I feel like those numbers are lower. I mean, even with World of Warcraft, I know people say like WoW has like 8-9 million players. It's more like 2-3 million at this point. WoW at this point is about 2 to 3 million players, and then Final Fantasy.
3 million. WoW Classic is another like 1.5 million or something. Like maybe if you add everything up, it goes to 8 or 9 million. Private servers, everything. If you just add
Yeah,
everything.
no, we're talking about like the official game, not the server.
Official 3.3 for WoW, 2.4 for Final Fantasy 14, 700 for us.
Oh, yeah.
According to top answer in Google.
Yeah, that's not bad.
It was
I think
promoted, by the way.
it could be active subs. Yeah, we're talking about active subs, of course. So, yeah, I wouldn't see a problem for Arenanet to introduce a subsystem. In fact, people recommend this.
I don't think we should have a subsystem. We could have like a battle pass. We could have like not like a subsystem, but like just if you sub, you get stuff sent to you, like an extra login system or something. Like it needs to be extra. You can't just shove a sub down everyone's throat. Unless you want Subways, but that's a different thing.
Not a sub to like for access to the game, more of a sub. It's like, oh, you can pay a monthly subscription and you get gem store stuff.
Yeah.
So if Arenanet does that, then they can like, oh, we've got this many subscribers, and like we know we have at least this much revenue coming in each month, so we can plan better. Versus like, oh crap, we're just depending on people to buy gems. Crap, was our skin good this month? Like, did we actually get gem purchases? Oh crap, we didn't. We're not making any money. You guys aren't getting paid today. Like, if it was a monthly sub thing, it's more because the big things for microtransactions with monthly subs is that you can, as a company, you can do a little bit better on your revenue planning because you have a general idea of how much is coming in. With microtransactions, like if they release a really, really good gem store skin, then most likely they'll have a really good month. If they release a Pepega skin like the Pepegasus or that really creepy
Pepegasus was perfect. Don't shit on my son.
or that really creepy bunny. The
bunny.
That one was like, what the heck?
Someone made a Twitter page for that bunny and it started following me, and I'm afraid to go on Twitter ever since.
So
I've
it's
seen
like
that.
if they have bad skins that month, their revenue is going to be down. If they have really good skins, their revenue is going to be up. If it was monthly subs and it's just like, oh, we've got 150,000 monthly subs, and like we have a general idea, we're at least getting this amount of money in. We have a better idea of revenue. That's the advantage for a company as far as it goes for subs.
Just not a sub for everyone, just like premium pass.
Yeah,
you see what
it's
I
not.
guess like
I'm not talking about a sub to go. It's like you need
yeah.
to have the sub to play the game. It's more of a monthly.
Like
it's
shit.
a battle pass type thing would work. Like a monthly. It's like a monthly gem allowance. Like, oh, you pay $15 a month, you're you'll get 500 gems a week, or whatever it is. I don't know. Whatever they want to work.
I said in one of my videos, I was like, let's say, okay, right now for 20 euros, you get for 25 euros you get 2k gems. Let's say you pay 15 euros in a battle path like system, and then for the first 20 days of the month, you get 100 gems a day. Or like for the first 20 times you log in, you get 100 gems a day. That works out. You pay 10 euro less, but what you need to do is log in 20 days among 30 days of the month. And that actually helps two things, revenue and player-based figures.
Yeah.
I said that in a video, and everybody went mad in the comments. They were like, "No, I don't want to pay. If this game
you don't have to pay."
And I said, "Yeah, you don't need to, but I would."
Yeah, if you don't want those gems, you don't have to pay.
Yeah, like extra, and like that would work. Like just make gems cheaper if you buy them on like a recurring service, and be like, make it so that it's an opt-in opt-out system. Like you just opt in, and then it keeps running until the day you opt out.
Yeah, and they can even do it. It's like, oh, if you pay for 6 months of a subscription, you get 5%. You get a bigger discount on it.
Or like, and then like one of the gacha games I'm on, which is you pay like the gacha game I play the most right now, beside Genshin. You pay 18 euros for the monthly pass. You get like 1,000 gems right off, and then you get double rewards all the time you play something in the game, like double the money, double the resources, etc. And then if you buy a new pass before your current pass runs out, like you have a grace period of I think 3 days, you get everything from the new pass plus one extra reward, which is like a very rare currency that's extremely hard to acquire.
I think so. Baron's saying that like all that.
I would keep it to the gem stuff. I would keep it to the gem store.
Baron's like,
you get a bonus Black Lion Key. How about that?
Or a bonus Black Lion Key. Yeah, buy your new pack before the current one runs out. Get an extra Black Lion Key.
Yeah, I would say keep it in gem store items, because you don't want it just like, oh, you have to get this pass to get something in the game.
That's what I meant. Like, keep it to gem store stuff. Like, I mean, of course, my example is a gacha game. Like, you're meant to pay it if you want to win. Like, I put money in it so I could win. Now I don't put money anymore, but I win.
Some people's arguments are like it's too late to implement some of this stuff in the game, and
Baron in
particular is saying it could impact the economy, which I think, I mean, anything like that will impact the economy, but I mean, economy corrects itself after a few months. So it's really not the issue of the economy, and I don't even think it's too late. You could always implement that stuff, because like Enko and Sam's kind of discussion is, it's not going to affect your actual gameplay of the game. It's just going to be the optional thing. Hey, do you want to opt into this or not? So it's not like it's forcing you that you need to have that to have an edge over people. It's more for additional rewards, which I don't think it really, in that sense, is ever too late to implement something like that. If anything, that revitalizes the game.
What Cynthia said,
it would affect the economy, but it would be in a good way, because what actually affects the economy the most? More player participation. If we had more players on the game, so if we had a subsystem, Anet had more revenue, they could market the game or maybe improve content. We got more players in the game. You had more players participating in the economy. You had more players participating on the trading post, which meant more gold being taken out of the economy through taxes, through the trading post taxes. All this has a trickle-down effect where it's just like more player participation in the economy will actually help the economy. It'll actually help. It'll help push back against inflation. So this would affect the economy, but it would be in a way because we have more people in the game.
That is very
true. More stuff happening.
Get to actual figures. The only times when Guild Wars 2 faced inflation was when we had content drops. So whatever Enko is saying right now is the base truth. I actually made the study for the Mystic Coin video, and it correlates perfectly. You check the content drops, that's exactly the moment where legendaries hit 4.4k value. inflation, mass
So
inflation.
actually, this is to go back in terms of economy, though. I mean, and this is really because it's also, again, this is a very small population of the community that care about such things as the economy. What is it that can be actually done to get people kind of like understand that what you actually hold in your material has some sort of use for it? Like you have like, okay, we have the overflow and the Guild Wars 2 Reddit exchange, and combined, I think that's about like it's 16,000 traders, right? Let's just combine both exchange and overflow.
Across those lines, yeah.
I mean, it's still very small. That's 16,000 players. It's not enough. And
That's less people than the musical instrument YouTube channel, bro.
is
We
that,
smoke.
I don't know. Anyway, here's the thing, because we talk about more players means more activity for the economy. And of course, in the grand scheme of things, that will help. But when we don't have that, you know, I guess that lovely addition of new players in the influx of the economy, we don't have new players coming in and getting recycled with more and more. We have to do what we have to do to make do, right? And it's just hard to explain to people that stuff that you do in the game has value, and most people don't see the stuff that they have in their account, wallets, whatever. And it's just like, that's, again, that kind of solves some problems that we discussed early on in the economy.
Going back to that vendor system we were talking about, where you can convert stuff in your wallet to other things. Like if everything, because when you're looking at a lot of the concepts, most of the time you're going to break things down to like a gold base so that you have a common denominator, so you can compare things to each other. So you're talking about gold per hour versus different avenues of making gold. You're going to break it down to gold per hour, so that's your common denominator, so you could actually have a numerical figure to compare things are better. So with the materials in the wallet, you know, talking about just like, hey, there needs to be enough information out there so people understand that it's like, hey, all that unbound magic that you've been storing just from running around farming winter berries to get your ascendant trinkets, you know, what can you do with that to turn that into gold? Now anybody could do that, but they would have to like work out the system. They'd have to they'd have to go down the rabbit hole and decide how far they want to go of all the different ways to convert unbound magic into gold. You can actually do that with pretty much everything in the game. Everything can be converted down to a gold value in some way. It's just depending on how creative you want to get with it. So could Arenanet make it a little simpler for people to realize? I think a vendor system where you can exchange different resources for other resources and maybe have it adjust like what was suggested before, that could be a good step in the way to that. Like unbound magic to volatile magic, if you need more of one or the other, being able to convert those two at an exchange rate. It shouldn't be a 1-for-1. It should be something that adjusts. Same thing with dungeon tokens, fractal relics. Like we kind of have that a little bit with like the converters, like the leyline energy converter, and like you could do that kind of stuff with it, except there's a daily cap on it. You know, you could convert bubbles to like mystic coins right now, but there's a weekly cap on those. There could be something where we need to maybe take off some of these caps.
Either caps or, I mean, then
I
mean, what if they went a full-fledged currency exchange system? Literally, that like you could track the UI for it in the game. But I feel like that's way too much effort. That's too high level effort.
just to go back to what you were saying earlier, MM, though, to make people realize that they have a lot of stuff in their material storage, bank, etc. That can be done through videos and explaining and everything, and then this can actually like lead to people understanding that material have value. Like a lot of people that first log in to efficiency and add their accounts, their reactions back when efficiency was launched was, I didn't know I had so much gold in my storage. People reacted like this on forums, Reddit, whatever. And that is something that people need to be reminded, that items that they keep, items that they deposit and never look at, have value. And then that goes into what Enko is saying, which is you can break anything down into usually bags that have materials that have a gold value, like volatile magic, etc. All of that can be done this way. And then the whole currency exchange actually loses interest. It most likely becomes a case of having like one vendor that comes in, has a rotating grab bag that you can get with any currency in the game with a certain exchange rate. based on what Arenanet assumes is the rate of acquisition of the currency, because that's what matters the most, right? The rate of acquisition. There are some currencies you just get way faster than the others, way easier. So they can just make it like that, just like have one vendor, and then you just get a specific grab bag that changes. Grab bag contains items that are undersupplied. Let's say like we had a spike in price to coarse sand with the release of the first infusion, which was great. There was too much coarse sand. Now coarse sand can be expensive. Just make a grab bag with a little bit of it, exchange that for, I don't know, Grothmar chilies or the ice shit from Jorah Marshes. That's great. Two problems fixed with one NPC.
Yeah, I mean, but then
It can be done so easily.
it can, but the thing is, then you have to also control that with all the currencies if you're doing that, like to trickle into one area, and that's very difficult. You have to be very careful with that because, let me be honest. Some currencies are easier to get than others, and so the value of those currencies shouldn't be within a similar value to that in that one vendor. Like if you, for example, let's take spirit shards, right? They're an XP currency at this point, right? They can only be got through currency through leveling up, really, right? Every time you level up, you get a spirit shard, and you can't get them anymore from champ bags. That's much probably difficult to get versus the map currencies of a certain map, because those drop out of mobs anyway, right? It just depends on how many you farm within that hour. So there has to be a balance on that, and that is going to be something, again, we've seen, like, it's either they go completely one direction or the other. They don't find something in the middle, and that's really a very difficult one for the economist. I think their economist would probably have a hard time because it's just hard to figure out that balance of those currencies, unless we go back to the vendor thing that we discussed an hour ago.
But they actually have the data and they have the means to exploit it. Like back in the days, John Smith explained what he was doing at Arenanet. A lot of it was actually not doing economy, but doing data analysis. He used the software Tableau, which is still much used in the world of data analytics. And he had access to all the data from Guild Wars 2. He knew exactly how much of an item there was across how many players. He could go down to that level of information. He had all of that. Like there were some very old posts that got deleted since in the Guild Wars 2 forums where he actually explained how that worked and what kind of information he could see. This got corroborated by what was his name again? He was Shazbot, Chris Cleary, the GM.
Yeah.
He also had this kind of information. He used the same software, Tableau, as John Smith, to get access to data on players' accounts. Like he could say, this is how many people died doing these specific things. Like they have this kind of figures. They have so much information that we of course have access to some in the API, but they can like gather much more detailed information than we can on their end. So the economist that has that kind of stuff, with a little bit of data analysis, could make these very clever decisions when it comes to balancing like the grab bags around the amount of currencies that are currently existing in players' wallets. Like it can be done.
There'd also be the issue that any of the changes that they would want to make from that would need to get approved by Arenanet management, which also seems to be a problem. But
Arenanet management, let's not get into that subject because I can't answer it. That's the first thing. I can't. Like I genuinely can't. It's not NDA stuff. I genuinely can't. I don't know Arenanet management. But second, I'm very opinionated about management in general, and Arenanet specifically. So let's just avoid that tangent.
I mean, again, that's also it comes down to whether or not they depends on the freedom that this economist has of what they can and can't do for the game, right? So because anything they implement, any decision that person takes is going to impact the game in some way or another, and a lot of people usually don't care about the whole economy of the game. They go like, well, this is really just a way for people who like to make money in this game, and I guess in some way manipulate other players. I don't know, but the economy does affect your gameplay. What you get out of a reward, if it's something that's tied into a gold value or something, that's going to affect your game time. And yeah, again, that goes back to management. How much freedom do they allow them to have?
Don't think much.
Yeah, not so much.
I don't think they get much.
So there was a point I wanted to also bring us back to before we went into the whole partner Arenanet management tangent. Going to the economy part again, with End of Dragons and things such as what we're to expect in End of Dragons. I wanted to touch on the topic of, again, what key differences will we see between the players who are coming back into the game versus the players who are starting the game from scratch. That, again, it goes back to the whole how they handle mat sinks, how they handle currencies. What is something that's, for someone that's new to the game versus somebody who is coming back to the game literally a year or two later? How is that gonna make a huge difference to them, especially when a lot of people don't even know what they have in their material anyway? Good response.
I think it's gonna be the same way as what happened with HET and POF. We're gonna have new stuff, which is gonna require new maps, which are gonna be farmed on the new maps. And then it's gonna be a matter of how people want to get these. Do they want to get them fast? Is there a time get to what they want to get? Or is there maybe a limit in how much can be generated in a given time? Let's say it's tied to an event, or it's capped at some point. And when you get to that kind of things, you're going to see exactly how the economy is going to react. Because if like in HOT, we see that there is some new stuff dropping, but it's mostly currency tied, then whatever, not much is going to happen. But if it's something like in POF, where we actually had like the Deldrimor spools, or Deldrimor thread, I don't know what that was called, to make the new bags that dropped from the casino and stuff like that, it skyrocketed at the start because nobody knew what it was for. And everybody felt it was a good thing to buy out quickly because people would need it. Same with, I think, the forge scraps and some other items. They just went up very fast because people wanted to get the new stuff quickly. So it's going to be the same cycle. At the start, farmers are going to sell the stuff for a lot of money because people who already have money are going to buy it. And then as it goes like along the lines, everything is just going to converge to where the value really should be, which is going to be tied to what we already have in the game. Let's say new generation of legendaries, we're going to still have like probably Gift of Might and Magic and that kind of shit. Like that's not going to change. Then there's going to be something which is tied to the new map, and we're going to unconsciously want to make the value of the new thing the same as the cost of the previous thing. That's where it's going to converge.
It's actually a discussion I had with Yender and Zushin like about a week ago. We had like sort of a mini podcast on stream when I was showing the train, and this kind of something that you said earlier, you and Enko, that reminded me of that podcast was that there seems to be that content drought where we're now starting to see prices peak, right? And you're starting to see that there is maybe a shortage of maybe some items in this game that are causing that that drought to push these items further up. Again, an expansion comes out that brings new players, but then you have that 2 months where that stuff is at peak value. You're paying premium price for such stuff,
Yeah, exactly, because everybody wants it right now.
Yeah, that's the
Which
thing.
is why I always delay making my legendaries with new content, because I'm like, shit's gonna be half the price if I wait a month.
But
do I need the legendary now?
If we had,
that's why you hoard ectos now.
Yeah, but if you had people playing the game, if you had more of those people who are not like taking the break, if you had those people who are for some reason not playing the game because there's nothing to do, if those people were kind of back, and let's not say that there's a lot of them, let's just say there's 10,000-20,000 people, right, that could be playing the game right now and they're not, or 40,000 people, right? We might not have that idea of like, okay, there's a shortage of materials right now, right? This idea wouldn't be here. So it also comes back to the content droughts, and there's not enough to keep players really invested to go to the expansion. The expansion is going to be a great release. It's going to be hype, right? Whatever they release, it's still going to get players back. But to get there, it's just like a long journey. Very hard journey too.
Okay, just also to answer something, I mean to complete on something that's been said in your chat about the increase in infusion drops. I mean, that's also something that's going to work with reducing the price of Mystic coins, probably also like reaching equilibrium on the value of legendaries and shit like this, because most of these high-end things were being built by people who have money and wanted to trade them outside of the game for more money. And if we reach the point where there are enough drops, then people are going to start buying them on the trading post and mostly selling them on the trading post. And that means that you don't need to hoard a shit ton of MC anymore because you can just buy it on the TP. same. You don't need to hoard a shitload of legendaries because you can just buy everything on the TP. That's also going to take gold out of the game because player-to-player trading, it's not that much. But like, if you look at how many people have traded, let's say hundreds of thousands of gold, that's that much gold that hasn't been taxed. That like tax evasion is dangerous, lads. Don't do it. It's dangerous for the economy, I mean. So don't do it.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what they're doing with the whole making sure that stuff drops enough to be sold on a trading post instead of needing side currencies or other items to be traded with. It's all a general plot to make sure that value gets not capped, but kept within reasonable bounds, which is why, as Enko said, the Mystic Coins bubble will burst. At some point, they will not be used to trade anymore, unless from people who really want to evade their taxes, and then so be it, because they will be paying taxes at the moment they sell the Mystic Coins anyways. So be it. It's just going to reach the point where Mystic Coins are not used anymore, and Ectos are just the better currency.
Actually, something that we talked about in the Dragons Discord with the other traders, which was like, what is so far a better currency than Ectos? And there really isn't, because the whole argument is that Ectos, as valuable as they are, still also have a lot of usage in the game.
Yeah, I made a graph that I called the Ecto rule, and I correlated every major thing to Ectos. And very funnily, the graphs of Precursor to Ecto and Legendary to Ectos are perfectly coinciding. Like, they're exactly on top of each other. It's perfect. It's beautiful. Then Mystic Coins to Ecto ratio is a little bit wild, but it goes about the same trend. What's really interesting, I think, about that is just to see that whatever is the let's say the fluff people want, so to speak legendaries, it's going to be correlated to Ectos. Infusions aren't, because we set our own prices based on what we think it's worth or what we think is its rarity. And the moment they start being sold on a trading post and we get figures on how many are bought and sold, then people are going to realize the true rarity. And then people are just going to be, like putting it on a value that is going to be similar to legendaries or something else.
Yeah,
of course, MCs are convenient, but that's because MCs are inflated.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just because MCs are inflated.
Well,
that's the only reason why they're convenient.
They're convenient because a certain amount of people allow them to be at that price. Let's just say that. Once those people want to take down their buy orders, good luck.
I mean, like, okay, if we look at the evolution of the price of Ectos, within, like, until 2013, 2012 average price, 5 silver. 2013 average price of Ectos, 5 silver. 2014 average price of Mystic Coins, 1 silver, 29 copper. Average value of Mystic Coins in 2015, 11 silver. And then it starts being a little more interesting because that's when the daily rewards got changed. So that was like the logical evolution was exactly what we saw in 2015. That was the effect of the loyalty reward change, that 11 silver. Then exchange starts budding and people do trades outside of the trading post. Value of an Ecto average from 2016, 62 silver. At this point in life, we made a post about how they should become the actual currency. 2017 average value, 1 gold, 5 silver. And that's when it keeps going wrong. 2018 average 1 gold, 12. 2019, 1 gold, 29. And 2020 is the fucking meme. Everyone is at home grinding the game, wanting to make gold, etc. Barons push the price up. Average 1 gold 60, and right now for 2021, the average is 2 gold 5. So if you look at it, the only reason why Mystic Coins are worth so much and are so practical is because we decided to make it that way. If it was only the daily login reward change, they would have stayed between 10 and 20 silver.
Might I remind you that in 2015, when MCs were like a whopping 11 silver, that was also peak legendary prices. You remember that?
Yeah, so exactly.
It's funny how it works that way.
Or something.
Because their price, when it's correlated to their use, the only thing that they're used in is a few Mystic Forge skins, and legendaries. That's the only thing that can drive Mystic Coin price. And since not everyone makes legendaries for the reasons that we said at the start of the podcast, or if you started watching now, make sure to watch the replay or the YouTube video, there is no reason for them to skyrocket. Because legendaries are not something that everybody wants. So the people who want it are going to take Mystic Coins from the people who don't want it. That's the way it was designed by Arenanet and why they said it's all fine. It's just that we decided to make them something they aren't, which is a side currency, and we busted it. Now it's a bubble.
It's a bubble and will pop. But here's the thing though, because the only people who will, I feel, genuinely suffer in this bubble are the people in the Overflow and Guild Wars 2 Exchange, Discord, and subreddit. You know why? Because those are the people who are like in that market, invested in some way or another. Someone who's gonna have the MCs at the wrong time is going to fail. And for the players who maybe, yeah, if you have Mystic Coins, but you never spent money on Mystic Coins and it went down, you lost theoretical money you made. You didn't lose money, like you did lose money, but you lost money that like out of a price, right? Inconvenience. You didn't actually invest anything into MC. So I would say for us, people who say that like, you know, this is going to kill the barons are killing the economy, or they're going to kill our players out of this market. Really, the people who will suffer are those specific traders who, at the wrong place, wrong time, had the MCs on them. So it's just a bubble.
I mean, the whole thing about there is also a bunch of people who don't understand that Mystic Coins are only this value because of the context behind them, and they just see it as an investment. They just think Mystic Coins are something that appreciate over time because there is not enough. Like, there are so many people who believe that and who buy Mystic Coins as an investment, which is very wrong. You don't buy Mystic Coins as an investment. There are so many other things that get way better ROI than Mystic Coins. It's just that people don't get that the only reason why the price goes up is because people want it that way. And when the people don't want it anymore, poof, gone. It's like Bitcoin.
They are Bitcoin. I mean, they are traded as Bitcoins, right?
Yeah. So again, the problem is that Mystic Coins have value because people say they have value. They don't actually have value in like that's worth what they're worth in the game. Ectos are completely regulated by what they're used for and how often they're being produced. Like if somebody tried to manipulate the Ecto market by buying up 100,000 of them or by putting in a buy order of 200,000 of them, hey, guess what? You know how fast that those orders will clear out? It would get regulated by how often they're being generated. The reason why Mystic Coins were able to have done what they were is because, someone had enough gold to put in a 200,000 buy order for them. Nobody else could do anything about it because there's not enough in the game. So, or there's not enough in the game to clear that out quickly by like a single person. If somebody put in a buy order, like bought all the Ectos up to like 50 silver, and then put a buy order in for 200,000 Ectos at 50 silver, that would be gone by like next week. And then people would start offloading their Ectos, and you would start seeing people listing for 30 silver, 25 silver, and then it would just be right back down to 20 to 24 silver.
Well,
Maybe not a couple weeks. It may be a little slower than that, depending on how big of an order someone put on there. But that's the problem with Mystic Coins, is that you could do that with Mystic Coins. You can't do that with Ectos.
But yeah, that's
which is why Ectos are just so much better, because they're actually correlated to other stuff.
I think the actual value of MCs was where it used to be at before this whole sudden spike of price. I think 1 gold to a gold 20 silver, it was actually a average price for MCs. They were very stable at that level.
Inflated by Guild Wars 2 Exchange, like people were already exchanging Mystic Coins for stuff. Like there was this point, like after HUT, where people wanted to trade and realized that what we could use, like gold, didn't mean much because we had a period of inflation before. People didn't exactly trust in gold. It made more sense to exchange other stuff for it. There were many candidates, platinum doubloons, Mystic Coins, keeping Ecto as a trade system, to circumvent the mail limitations. Like you wanted to use something else than gold, because gold had a fluctuating value, inflation, and because overall you couldn't send that much. And that's why we needed something else. Ectos weren't expensive enough, so you needed to send a lot of mails, which was a hassle. Platinum doubloons could actually be forged rather easily. Of course, that depleted a bit of the supply, but it was a fun ride while it lasted. Like 2 gold platinum doubloons were a meme and a half, and I profited on that. That was great. And Mystic Coins are like the remaining of the 3. But like the fact that it was at 1 gold was because it was already pushed that way. Like its normal value should just be 20 silver, not more than that. They're just used for skins, for legendaries.
Yeah, I mean,
they should be about the same price as a stack of any other material you use in making a legendary. It shouldn't be a gold.
yeah. Again, like I mean, currencies right now. Again, it all depends on what the player base. Ectos right now is just kind of like the perfect one, and until we find that next one, that's just. But Enko answered somebody in chat. You know, like Ectos, if you want a more stable currency, but if you want the convenience, you got to pay the price, and that's MCs, right? So that Enko actually summed it up really well to answer like a few minutes ago.
So there's something that people need to understand about. This is actually true for most things when you're trying to get a bargain. You can either get things quickly, you can get things of good quality, or you can get things for a good price. Pick 2. So if you want to get something quickly of a good quality, you're going to pay a high price. If you want to get things a good quality and a good price, it's going to take a long time. If you want to have something of a low price and good quality, then it may take a long time to do. So you take those 3 things, you pick 2 of them, and if you have something where you got all 3, you get something high quality, it's a good price, and you get it quickly, and you're able to do that, then great deal. That's actually how you like decide if it's a deal is good or not. But generally speaking, you're only going to be able to pick 2 of those. Okay, like that is actually something that can be applied to a lot of things. Like, oh, you want to get a good quality player in your raid group, it might take a long time. Or you may have to do something to entice that guy to come in. That's your price, right? You pick 2 of those 3. So with Mystic Coins, they're gold dense, which is nice. So it's considered good quality. They're relatively tradable, but you got to pay for a price for that then. Ectos, like they're decent. They're not super gold dense, but they're okay gold dense. The big issue why you're using items for currency though is not because of if something's more gold dense or not. That's more of a convenience thing. It's more because items don't have a cap when you mail stuff. Yep. So we have a cap on mail of 500 gold a week. That includes like withdrawing from Guildhall. So you can actually use any item you want as a tradable currency. I mean, like the running joke is like, oh, Isaac Cormier, right? Yeah, you can do that. You don't trade like 1 million of them, right? So the more gold dense of an item it is, the less of that item you need to trade. So Mystic Coin is like 2 gold right now, and Ecto is 20 silver, right? So you would need 10 Mystic Coin or 10 Ectos to equal like how much you could trade for 1 Mystic Coin. So if I wanted to buy a legendary with Mystic Coins versus Ectos, I would have to take more time to do more trades because you can only send 1,250 items at one time in a mail. The more gold dense an item is, the less mails you have to do. That's what you gain. You gain some time. Right? You gain some time on it. You gain some convenience out of it. But it also does mean you have to have a lot more of Mystic Coins. Ectos are a lot more obtainable by most people. So the point being, though, is you can use any item you want. Some people use infusions as a currency. Some people use legendaries as a currency. They're doing that for convenience purposes. For me, I stick with Ectos. I buy legendaries with Ectos, and that's pretty much it.
It's just easier to do as well. It's not the same for everybody too. It's not the same. I mean, some people, you have to understand that like in a lot of these trading communities, someone might be exchanging Ectos for weapons. Someone might be exchanging T6 materials for Ectos, or T6 materials for legendaries, or MCs for. It's just a variety of items. Now, the convenience of some of these is that, of course, MC, for example, is like just 1 stack can be like about 550 gold value just for that 1 stack. Versus Ectos, that you don't have that comfort, right? For Ectos, that's about 5 stacks, right? So or more than that, actually, 10 stacks. Versus if you have T6 materials, that's you have to mail every stack of the material of T6. So most of it comes to convenience, but then it also comes down to, well, what do they have that they're doing in their operation of trading that makes them have this specific, item that they want to trade. And that's also the beauty of the trading community, is that I guess people one thing that we've been kind of also stressing with a lot of people is like, if you don't trade with someone, if you don't have a guild that you can kind of move these materials between, that that mail cap in terms of like, you know, you can only send 2 mails per minute, it kind of tends to be a problem. It kind of gets annoying. So it also means that, yeah, some of these currencies, while they are convenient to pay in a more premium currency, you can mitigate that like inconvenience by at least going through guild banks, at least having a connection with somebody in a different guild where you can just exchange. And it's kind of been the argument of like a lot of some of our traders and overflows, like, have at least one guild that is involved in some form of trading. If you need something, go to that guild first, not the trading post. Trading post should be not for everything, but for some things, it should be your last resort, because you could probably get it cheaper off the trading post. But and of course, this is always you got to bargain for some of that stuff. But use connections versus going to the trading post. You're more likely to at least save some of that gold that you don't have to worry about such minor things.
Yeah, but like that only works, and that's like what's interesting about this. It only works as long as you don't need to melt your final acquisition into gold on the trading post. So, for instance, if I make a legendary and I sell it to you for ectos, that makes sense, because I can then use the ectos to craft items. And given that I have gotten the ectos at a lower price than I would on the trading post, I am profiting on our transaction. Also, I evaded taxes, which is good. But if I actually evade taxes to get an item, to get like another item from you, or to get mystic coins from you, I don't have a use for that 10,000 mystic coins, then I'm probably going to end up selling some of them on the trading post, and I'll eat the taxes at that point. So I bargained with you, sold you something a little bit less than its value on the trading post because I evaded taxes, so we went half-half on the tax savings. But then at some point, if I need to sell what I traded for on the trading post, I will eat the taxes at that point. And that's something that people don't realize enough, I think.
Yeah, I think it's also like, if you... So I think someone was asking me once, can you completely avoid the trading post tax? And this is like an asked question from some of the people a long time ago. And
as long as you trade for items you use.
The easy answer is like, you can probably never like avoid the trading post, because at some point you're gonna need to go back. So what I always tell people, yes, if you're trading items, you have to figure out in that cycle of trading that you're going to plan your next big purchases or your next big profits. When in that cycle are you going to have to, like you said, Sam, at some point liquidate on the trading post, right? And I guess maybe you can prolong it.
So this goes back to the 3 things I was talking about, right? Or when you pick 2, right? So can you liquidate items into gold without the trading post? Yes. You have to find someone who's willing to just give you raw gold for those items. So you can avoid it, but they're still going to take in consideration of like, could I have bought this item off the trading post for less? So again, you're picking those things where the trading post provides the ultimate convenience. You can get things very quickly, but you have to pay a little bit extra because of the taxes usually. Like, so usually when you're trading directly from player to player, you're taking this 15% into account. So if you're trying to buy a legendary, or you're trying to sell a legendary, right? You can sell it on the trading post and you can lose 15% to the fees, or you could try selling it to another person for, like, if they want it right away. They're not, if it's listed for 2,500 gold on the trading post, they're not going to pay you 2,500 gold, because they could just get it straight from the trading post just by hitting the buy button, and it shows up in their delivery box. So the advantage that you have to give to them is that, okay, I'll give you a 10% discount off the trading post. So you save 250 gold. I save 5% on trading fee on the TP fees, and then I'll send it to you, and you send me back that gold. So you can avoid the fees, like you can liquidate it straight into gold by finding someone who wants to buy it, but they're still going to take a look at the TP taxes, because they're not going to buy it from you for no benefit. Like, if I'm selling a legendary for 2,500 gold, or it's listed on the trading for 2,500 gold, nobody is going to pay me 2,500 gold for that. When there's a risk involved, right? With trading directly to people, because we don't have a cash on delivery system in this game. Arenanet, please add that. If they did, then yeah, you probably could just ignore fees. But those taxes, those fees on the trading post are going to get taken into account when you're doing player-to-player trades, because that is what's going to determine how well of a price you could get from other people. So you can liquidate it without the trading post. You don't have to sell it on the trading post, but that kind of stuff is taken into account because the buyer or seller are going to take those. Otherwise, why not? Like, if I'm the buyer, I might as well just buy on the trading post again. You need to give me an incentive to buy from you. Oh, you're going to save me 10%? Okay, that's my incentive.
Yeah, that's the thing. And also, again, you can, unless of course the inconvenience of sending a lot of gold for high ticket value item or high value items is the fact that of course it's inconvenient. But yeah, you can theoretically save the gold or save the ever need of going to the trading post. And I think one thing other people don't really realize is that I feel like also this was maybe misinterpreted. But a lot of people feel like, oh yeah, assets is everything I need in this game, and I'm sure a lot of that had to come from specific like discussions where I guess the focus was on items, and that we maybe missed the explanation of how gold is also important. You need gold, guys, in the game. Like, you need to have some form of your liquidity. If you have like 100,000 gold worth of items, at least maybe 20 to 30k should be in gold. You need to have a percentage, and there's not really a perfect balance because it's really dependent on what you're using those items. If you're somebody who is in a gold intensive item within the market, then that's your answer. You're going to need a lot of gold. If you're somebody who does not really deal with gold in the terms of like a larger scale, then most of your items will obviously be gold value will be in those items. So, but you need both. You can't just have one or the other. You need to find that balance. Even if you're not using gold that much, it will still factor. So for those that say, well, can you just immediately always avoid the tax? Well, you can, but then at some point, it's going to be advantageous to you. At some point, you have to do that final liquidation on the trading post. And I usually call that like your final step of a trade cycle. Because to me, a trade cycle ends when you don't trade to someone, you immediately just go to the trading post. So that's like the end of a trade cycle, at least. A lot of large purchases for most people in the game are assets, legendaries, permanents, infusions, etc. And then, yeah, of course, that's true. That's true only in our community of traders. I feel like you go outside and the casuals really don't care for that, right? Your casual player who has maybe a credit card to swipe is not going to care to find this cheaper. If they want something, they'll just go to the
bigger swipe.
Credit card swipe, right? Very small percentage of us really care about that percentage. So the balance is what I struggle with. I have 70% of my wealth in gold and the rest in materials, but I hear that's the wrong ratio. So Phoenix, again, goes back to what I said. Depending on what you use your assets for is going to determine how much ratio you need in gold and how much ratio you need in assets. Because if you're someone, if gold is a frequent use in whatever you're trying to do, then you're going to obviously want to keep more gold than the actual asset. The asset is not your main focus. If you're someone who has assets that are being traded on a regular basis and gold is really just like a convenience factor for those assets, then you're going to want majority of that in items. So I don't think there's a wrong or right ratio. It's just dependent on what markets you're involved in. You're answering somebody in chat, I see. Yeah. I feel like we've kind of gone through a huge amount of good topics that we've, kind of went again into more details from the last podcast. And do you guys have any other closing topic to talk about for next 10 minutes or something? I gotta go by in the next 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes. So if you guys have one more topic you want to,
yeah, that would be good for me as well. I need to have dinner. No, it's 10:30 here.
So one thing, honestly, I think the overflow trading is one reason that Arenanet won't put in a pseudo system with the mail system like Lord of the Rings Online has. I say that because there are people that won't use overflow because without that safety that they don't trust the overflow, even with the rep system that overflow does have, those people would then bypass the taxes from the TP by using mail trade. I mean, that's the risk you take. It's not just overflow, it's the same with exchange.
Yeah, like
it's just a risk factor.
Mail trades are just so risky. Like, don't do that. I remember so many people getting scammed with that before exchange was a thing. Exchange was a blessing to people who wanted to trade without a limit or avoid taxes, because you just
So,
wouldn't get scammed as much.
The cash on delivery system, I actually think if they did that, Anet should still have taxes on it. I actually think they should be higher than the trading post, because what you're doing is you can trade directly to a player. So it should either be 15% or 20% if you did cash on delivery.
Agreed.
What you're exchanging for, instead of just buying from a random person on the trading post, you're getting it directly. Let's say you want to get it directly from a friend or directly from someone you know. So I mean, it kind of defeats the purpose of it then, I guess. But you could opt to not do that and do tax-free risk. So, because if they actually did add a cash on delivery system, which I would like them to have, if I wanted to sell an item specifically to somebody else, then they need to put some kind of fees on it. Even if it's 5 or 10%, it can't just be like, oh, I sent you a mail, I get the items when you actually send them. Like, you actually get delivery of it when you send me the items back. There needs to be some kind of fee on it, because otherwise the trading post would actually die.
Yeah, I mean, I again, it's like that's the whole reason why, they have a trading post system. So again, you won't see a lot of those, quality of life features we want to see between player to player trading. And again, it's fine. They might not implement it. It's too late anyways to implement a system like that. Like, it would definitely harm the trading post, and the amount of things to fix that will probably be too much of a headache. But for those that are
I think the only thing they need to do is take out the 10K limit on the trading post. That's honestly all I think they need to do.
Wasn't someone blacklisted today for scamming account, or did I read the Discord wrong? Safe way of making money will always be TP or friends. So here's the thing, right? Like, when you're trading a high value item, the fact that you don't do your research for 5 minutes to determine whether this buyer is genuine or not, like, you want to make a lot of money on this item, but you're not even going to do the 5-minute research to determine if this person, like, come on. So MM has to send first whenever we trade. I mean, sure, but then remember the trades where, like, I would just give you a legendary, and then, like, your 30 minutes of mailing me ectos was kind of like suffering at that end before you joined the team.
Yeah, I remember asking Dan to middleman between Souls and me, which is probably hilarious. Like two exchange moderators asking a third exchange moderator to MM for them. That's how funny.
Yeah. The worst MM I've done recently was two people were doing 2 sets of T6 materials, and it took 2 hours because they weren't paying in gold; they were paying in weird items. And because the value of that trade is the value of the spirit shards, right? I got a gold 20 for 2 hours of middlemaning. That's more common than the big ones.
That's why middlemaning is a bless. Like, it's a blessing and a curse. Like, sometimes good. Most of the times you're just getting a message and you're like, shit, I need to log in and I'm gonna get 2 gold for that.
The funny thing is, admins on the overflow are technically middlemen, and I'm so happy because I don't actually get any requests to be a middleman. I'm so relieved. I feel like although that's more of an issue where probably, like, people just don't know that admins can also middlemen. So going
back to your time back, I'm doing research before they do trades. If you can't find that guy's account name or his Reddit name or Discord name on exchanges like post history or on the trade review system on Overflow, don't send first. Like, how hard is that? Don't send first or find a middleman. It's just like, just here's the thing. Like, a lot of the people we get on Overflow and exchanges say, oh, I got scammed. You end up looking at the guy that they got scammed by, and it's just like, all right, this guy was selling you a chalk infusion for 9,000 gold. And I go look for his account name on Reddit or on Overflow or anywhere. Like, his account name, his Discord name, whatever. And I can't find any information. There's no history. This guy has 0 posts. Why would you send 9,000 gold worth of items to the guy? Just like, oh yeah, I'll trust you. Just here's 9,000 gold.
It must be a nice guy. Let's send him gold.
He blocked me. What happened? It's like, man, seriously.
It's just
people who do that. The lesson is taught to them through the mistake, and that's it. They learn not to trust. That is good.
It's good
Sometimes
that you
need
don't
to learn
trust, but
through
then,
mistake.
but like,
trust.
Sam, you
but
talk
you
about
trust, but
I mean, you
What?
talk about not trusting.
could
And
have
I know a lot of these people who would say like, yeah, this is why I don't go to these forums that use trades between players because we don't trust them. Absolutely fine, sure. But then when those same people later finally join and then like they are the ones that get scammed and they're like, oh, I got scammed on this this Discord or this exchange Reddit like has no way of like determining scammers. It literally says in the rules like check the trade history. It literally the first advice anyone tells you, and this is just logics. I mean, like, let's just be honest. This is just logical. From a logical standpoint, why wouldn't you go check? This person has low AP. A little suspicious. This person does not have any trades in this Discord. Or they have like maybe 1 or 2 trades and it's barely enough compared to the item I'm about to send them. Okay, a little bit more suspicious. This person also does not seem to be on that many Discords that I'm affiliated with.
Oh,
Mutual service.
here's my favorite one. Oh, this guy sent me a message in game and said my Discord name was this, and that Discord name has rep, but he couldn't send me a message from that Discord name. Oh, I'll trust him because the Discord name he said was great.
Yeah.
It's just like, all right, dude. The guy should have been able to message you from that account if that's him.
There are some scammers that get even wilder than this. I remember someone impersonating me to pretend to be a middleman and get the items and walk away with them. And that person actually did it like a few times. I asked, of course, Arenanet support to do something. They told me, we're going to look into this, but if you want to report a player, you can do it in game, bro. And I was like, okay, you're useless. So he has the partner program because after all, as a partner, maybe if my name is being used by someone scamming, maybe they'd care, like partner name associated with scamming, kind of bad, right? So I'm like, yo, I got impersonated. And they were like, we can't do anything. And I was like left with no recourse. Like, so there was someone out there just pretending to be Sa Majesté without even having Sa Majesté as a character name, nor as an account name, because I actually own all of that. They just managed to actually scam thousands out of people by pretending to be me on a 3000 AP account that didn't even have any character or account named after Sa Majesté, and I find this hilarious.
Yender.
Like, who the fuck?
Yender actually has a couple people who's impersonated him on Exchange and Overflow. And the funny thing is, so there was one case. I'm not gonna name who this person was, but this person got scammed by someone who pretended to be Yender. And the funny thing is, they both are in the same Discord guild, and they're also friends. And he knows his account ID, and he still got scammed by him. I'm not even joking.
Like, Sam, your account name, my account name, Dan's account name, Soul's account names are all listed on on Exchange.
We're on the
right with the list of it. It's like okay, if we didn't message you from that account, assume it's not us.
Yeah,
it's like this is like I make a brand new account and I name it Enko and it's whatever. It's got like 2 AP, right? And I mail somebody else. I message them. It's like, hey, I'm Enko. Just trust me because my account name says that. Even though it's different than what's on Exchange, don't worry about that. Just send me your items. It's just like, come on, people. Like, if you actually believe this is why Nigerian prince scams work.
Oh, actually, so again, like to go with people, like if you have an item of such high value, right? Why don't you spend that extra 2%? Hey, just split it with the buyer. Like, it's just weird that people don't split stuff like that with middlemen. Like, you're gonna cheap out of 200 gold for an item that you could possibly lose if you send first. Like, it's just like when you take risks, what risk factor do you want to take? The 200 gold that, okay, like it's a small dent in your purse, versus the 9,000 or 10,000 gold that you could have made if you just kind of simply, just use the middleman. So,
like, which is why, what you said, Enko, I made sure to get every variation of the Sa Majesté character names across my 21 accounts. Like, I have Sa Majesté with AY, EY, with an accent.
That shouldn't even matter, though. Your account name.
Not stuck together. I got all of them. Nobody
your
can
account name. Your account name, though. Your account names are unique identifier.
I have 30 characters named Sa Majesté, and I have this. I'm good.
Require people to message you from the listed account name, and it's just like this would just be like if you were buying something on eBay and some random guy emails you. It's like, hey, that was my sale. Like, don't worry, this email is not from like the listed email account. But I need you to wire me the $500 for whatever you're trying to buy. Because that's me. And it's just like, why can't you email me from the account that's listed or from the profile that's listed so we can complete the trade? Oh, don't worry about that. Just trust me when I tell you that that's me. It's just like, how? How do people fall for that?
And then you have the opposite.
I actually have a blessing for like if people ever were to like kind of impersonate me. If anyone ever tried to scam someone and say like it's GW2, it's funny because GW2 barely messages people. People usually like take hours before I can get to them. So if anyone ever messages you claiming it's me, guys, you'll know that it's fake because I rarely ever go out of my way to quickly message people. And I'm very bad at answering Discord.
Because you're the prince.
And if you want to verify and then go message him on Discord. It's like, hey, is this other account you?
Yeah, but there are people who are zealous like that. Like there are some people who are messaging me in game on the account listed on Exchange because after all I have so many.
Wait.
They message me on that and then they're like, can you actually send me a message on Reddit to make sure that it is the same you? And then I do that and they're like, can you also send a message on Discord to confirm that it is also your same name on Discord? I'm like, Jesus, you have my in-game name. I texted you or messaged you on Reddit saying that, hello, it is me in the party right now with you. What more do you need?
I would rather they check
my ID, bro.
Yes, I would rather they check multiple times. But comment from Gallant,
like,
is
Jesus,
GW Legends account back available
me?
yet? I thought his account got action. He's back again. And Darkbringer is here too, so we have an Enid employee.
Yeah, so what GW Legends?
He got action. He got suspended for a few months, but his account's back now. Like, what does it take to ban a scammer?
It's just like the people who were like scamming in dungeons back in the days. They got banned for 6 months and that was it.
They need to be completely banned. I mean, when there's multiple reports, the evidence is like insane. Like it's just I don't understand. But here's the thing: people also don't take the time to check a blacklist. If someone's name is on the and some people have like a good amount of AP who are on the blacklist. But if people also don't recognize that person, or if they realize that person has not had trades in a recent period, like if somebody, for example, had like traded a lot before and then they somehow decided to just scam their way to a big deal, and then say 3-4 months later that same person is trading with you, and you notice like why is there a 2 to 3 month period where that person was not trading? I know most people will not think of that, but like they'll just be like maybe they were inactive. But if you don't just take the time, go maybe something happened and they're in the blacklist. I feel like people don't usually put that stuff together and they just assume like, okay, oh no, he could be could be like taking a break.
To be a little fair, I find Overflow's blacklist very annoying to read.
So how do you make it better? You can't make it better.
It's just how it's organized because you guys like it goes. If you go from the top, it's like scam, and then a different section goes RMT, and then a different section goes from exchange. Like there's multiple lists. Like actually, I need to talk to Dan about this because he needs to alphabetize the ban list. It should just be one big list that's alphabetized. So if I'm looking for GW Legend, I could just go to the G's, and it's like, oh, there's his account name.
We had it like that. We had it like only like through alphabet and in one list. And a lot of people on the Overflow complain saying it's too big to read. So can you split it into categories? Okay. And now we split it into categories.
If it's too big for them to read, they deserve to be split.
And then when we split it into categories, there's been people who are like saying like now it's like not nice because it's in categories. And like I remember one of the mods was like, I think this was even Ning. He's like, man, you can't win with these people.
Yeah, you can't. Like just put a single list up and there you go.
Just like search function, just fucking use the search function. It's here for a purpose. The people who do not manage to use the search function or do not manage to check if a name is on the list, they deserve to get scammed because that's the only way they will need to check afterwards.
Yeah. When I was looking at the blacklist right now, I saw something that said Dark. I'm like, what the heck? Darkbringer's on the list? No, that's Dark Killer. That's somebody else. I was like, wait a minute.
It's another dark person, man. Like, we all live in the shadows. That's why there are so many of us.
Shadows big. Man.
Yeah, there's a lot of dark somethings. Like, my own name was like Dark Sam at some point, so I'm part of the dark family, right?
Darkbringer himself, I mean, is like a pretty active player in the trading community. Like, he trades on a daily, I don't know daily, but like he has a lot of trades under his belt right now. Imagine ain't a dev that's into trading. Dark, I don't know if you're in UI dev, but if you have any say you need to tell Arenanet, listen, your trading community could use some support, man. We're trying to teach people how to use their assets. We're basically, I wouldn't say professors, because I will leave that title to people like Zushin who like to host lectures in the form of seminars. But you have like, you know, professor level people teaching your player base how to trade in the game and how to actually, you know, apply some of this to real life. So yeah.
Yeah, when Darkbringer first popped up on Exchange, I was like, should we let him trade here? Because I remember the previous Arenanet dev that we used to talk about. They're like, we can't associate with you guys because of reasons, because we don't want to show any kind of support for this. Like we can't acknowledge that you guys exist. And then Darkbringer is like, hey, I'm trying to sell this thing. I'm like, oh no, oh no, what do we do?
That's, you know, that there's a difference between doing that on your main time and doing that as a player. Like, Arenanet devs are encouraged to play the game, but not all of them do. So if there is a dev who's gonna like play the game and trade with players, that's like not a problem as long as they do that in their free time. Like,
well, no, it was the same. Like, so I was doing one of my Forge
as long as they don't
streams, right?
endorse it, it's okay.
Like, I was doing one of my Forge streams, and Darkbringer's like, hey, what kind of macro do you use? Because I want to use it. I was like, like, this is kind of a gray area. It's like I've wanted Arenanet to like clarify like their position on this, because it's like, it's not against the rules per se, but it's because the rules are unclear. I'm like, I got an Arenanet dev asking me about this now. It's like, do I tell him or do I just like let him run it too?
Yeah, just in that kind of situation, you just nod and wave.
Smile and
yeah,
wave,
it's
boys.
like, yeah, you could just make it. It's a one key, one action thing. You know.
It's TOS.
It's in TOS,
compliant, by the way.
Yeah, I was like, is Darkbringer messaging me because he's trying to trap me? Like, is he trying to get me to like admit breaking the rules or something like that?
Yeah, I got scared. He messaged me as well once in the game, like, how do you do this, by the way, with unidentified gear? And I was like, or he was like asking like same questions, and I feel like he was just kind of
I was like,
and I was like, well, you set it up with like it has to follow like Anet's TOS, so you could set up the macro, but it has to just be one action per key and stuff like that. And he's like, oh, okay, how do you set that up? I was like, okay, if you want someone who can actually teach you how to set it up, go message Enko, because I had somebody do it for me.
Wait, is that why Darkbringer was messaging me?
I actually
are you the reason?
Because so I told him like what you can make money out of, and it was just like he was asking questions. I was like, okay, if you want more questions, more answers, go ask Enko, because I will basically not be able to answer them in that detail. So he went back to you probably.
Oh my god.
I mean, I can't explain them as good as Enko can. So I was just like, you know, Enko would probably be able to explain this better than I can. Maybe you should go message him, and he could help you set it up if he wants. And then I was just like, okay, bye, I'm leaving.
Such a good play, you know. That was a masterclass in and of itself. Go ask Enko. I'll have you know that I do not dabble in these kind of practices.
Hashtag ask Enko. That's because okay, we gotta make that a thing on Enko stream. Which, by the way, we're gonna be ending the stream, but Enko is probably gonna be starting his own stream soon. So if you guys want to continue, the discussion will end up at Enko's stream as well. And you're about like what was it, like 50 people from 5,000 followers, right?
Yeah, we are. Where were we at?
And he did mention
because 59 followers waiting for 5K. When we hit 5K, the following Saturday, I'll just do like a big giveaway stream.
A big giveaway
stream,
like
guys. Probably
make sure to
10
follow
legendaries plus other stuff. It'll probably be like a legendary every hour, a precursor every half hour, or something like that. Actually, I don't know if I can do the precursors now.
His Patreon first.
I don't have a Patreon.
I'm just kidding. Come on, go with the flow.
Maybe I should get a Patreon. I need you guys to fund my spending money plan while I'm deployed in the Middle East. Yeah, my internet.
Oh, you told me, by the way, you might have a chance.
Oh my god.
You might have a chance to come by to Dubai, right? We gotta meet up.
That will depend on COVID restrictions. So MWR, like the document I had that says like, oh, this is all the stuff you can do when you're over here. They talked about like the morale, welfare, recreation stuff. They have day trips to like areas in the region. Actually, day trips to area in the region, and then multi-day trips to like places like Dubai, Bahrain, all that kind of stuff. But it's all shut down right now because of COVID. So if COVID opens back up, if things open up again because of COVID in like the next 10 months, then I might be able to I might be able to go take a trip to Dubai. I've never been to Dubai. I hear it's very nice. So
It's
Where
beautiful.
exactly are you going to be, Enko? More or less the area?
I can't say. All I can tell you is Middle East.
Okay, like you can just send me a message afterward, because like if it's not too far, I'm still looking for destinations to go to.
All right. So the
Most
Barons
of the-
Club will reunite with a real podcast in Dubai. There we go.
Everyone in MM's bedroom on the couch with glasses of champagne. I'm down.
You got to get us all crowns too, then.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I want my crown. I have the sunglasses, but I'll need a crown.
I'll get you guys the crowns. You know, you can get this on Amazon for like $10. It's the best purchase I've made on Amazon.
Yo man, send me the link. I have Amazon Prime. I'll have that tomorrow.
I've got so much use out of this crown. I think it's like the only thing from Amazon that I still used since like October or something, you know. So anyway,
I don't know. I buy a lot of stuff on Amazon. This microphone was on Amazon. The camera was Best Buy.
Actually,
all my
Everything
mon-
comes from Amazon.
half my computer setup I think was from Amazon.
actually, yeah, you're right. I also got with the computer set. Yeah, I'm in the same area as you. Anyway, all right. Well, are you gonna go live by the way, Enko?
Yeah, I'll go live. I'm just gonna be like super adventure box farming. I need bobble bubbles for the Crimson Vanquisher skins.
Easy peasy.
I installed Taco for once for the first time ever.
It's so helpful. It's saving.
Yeah, I'm trying it out, and I'm like, all right,
I got a goal for you.
But,
Enko.
Use the ticket pack. Tickets pack is super good.
yeah, that's the one I have because
Yeah.
tribulation mode will get me to my bobble bubbles like way faster.
Yeah.
So
But like you need help for tribulation mode.
Yeah, but
the thing, I've done all the trib modes because I got all the skins. I farmed all the skins like a long time ago, and once I got all the skins, I never touched trib mode again. I don't remember anything anymore.
No,
It's been
so
like 2
I have
years.
something for you with tackle, right? After you're done with SAB, right? Once that's done, you should try and beat Souls' world comp record. That's a goal for you.
I mean, I'm going to have 9 months where I'm basically just going to be doing AP farming because I think my ping will be bad enough I won't be able to do raids. I'll probably make a lot of progress on my map completions because one of my long-term goals was map completion on every single character. I have 11, so I have 11 done. So I still have 59 more to go. At 10 hours a pop, like rounded, like it's going to be more than that. That's 590 hours of map completion.
You're gonna have fun.
You know, you've done more map completion than I have ever done in my life in this game.
I actually like doing map completions, but my map completions always take like 20 hours because I sit there and I'm like, oh, there's an event. We're gonna go do it. Oh, there's another player like fighting something. Let's go help them out. There's a dead person. We're gonna revive them. And yeah, so it usually takes me like 20 hours to do a map completion.
So Sin is saying Souls does map comp at night. He knows the mappeteer better than the layout of his own house. That kind of sucks.
I mean,
we'll block
maybe
the
that's
account for
you get-
street fees. Oh yeah.
I'm getting a VPN. We were directed to purchase a VPN if we wanted to get internet in our rooms. So I tried to use Teapot's coupon code for Surfshark VPN, and I tried to use Amazon Pay to pay for it, and they kept denying it. So I'm gonna have to buy it again, like using my credit card. But yeah, I'll have a VPN also, so I can like watch like Netflix and stuff like that. Because with everything shut down over there as well, my options are work or working out. Working out is I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that.
Yes. By the way, somebody so Lucky Gamer actually has a point. Don't forget the fun stuff with phone numbers. So you might want to deactivate your 2FA on
Yeah. I need to change everything to email.
Yeah, because I
need to do that for everything.
I have it all on email as well.
Yeah.
Like fuck phone. I only have Steam.
I got screwed when I came back to Dubai. Like I'd totally forgotten about it because I was literally moving back from Boston, moving everything back and things. Like when I came to Dubai, I forgot also that Twitch sometimes will log you out of your account at a random day. And so I got locked out of my Twitch. Literally the weekend I had a huge fashion show planned. It was like the first one since I got back home. And I had to use a new account, like a pretty much backup account that had no following. So I lost all the possible new eyes, new followers for that stream. So it was kind of, that weekend was kind of a little shitty for me. So
Yeah, I still have to convert a lot of my services over because like I need to stop my cell phone service because over there I can get like a prepaid SIM card, like 500 minutes a month or something like that. But yeah, my Verizon's not going to work over there. I don't think. I'm pretty sure they do not have a satellite pointed at that area.
no,
So
not even AT&T. Believe me, I tried.
I mean, if Verizon had a satellite point over there, I could just use my 4G or 5G connection on my phone. I wouldn't need to pay $300 a month for internet.
Okay, lads, I believe it is time.
Yes, it is. All right, let me fire up my stream. It's going to be on a starting soon because I need to go take like a 5-minute break again. But yeah,
Just get the house going. Just get it.
bubble farming. Maybe I'll do some raids.
All right, while you're getting your thing set up, this is time where I sell myself out for my stream and tell them to follow my stuff. So guys, you'll probably find this episode on YouTube in the next couple days. I believe Enko also has a recording. You can watch it on his channel. Those are my socials. Go follow me on YouTube. By the way, we hit 1,500 subs on my YouTube channel. I did mention we're gonna do a giveaway when we hit 1,500 subs, and these few videos, like the 3 videos I've recently done that's kind of been more guide oriented to a majority of the player base, have actually really boosted the channel. So a lot of positive energy. I like it. The direction is very well. So we're gonna get there. We're gonna get to 3,000 hopefully by. I mean, I plan to get to 3,000 by end of May. I don't know how that's possible, but we'll try. Anyway, other socials: Twitter, Discord, my Instagram. Although I don't believe that Instagram works, but you can find me on GW2 on Instagram. Also, Sam, if you want to post your YouTube, you want to post your Twitch, and Enko as well. And of course, their links will be included in the video of this podcast. So you can also find them in the description if you want to follow them.
Oh, also because I will still have internet, if people want to get a hold of me, Discord is probably going to be the easiest way. Because yeah, that'll probably just be the easiest way if you want to get a hold of me. So I have a Discord link on my Twitch channel. So if you want to join there, just go to my channel, and MSA is going to raid me afterwards. And just, yeah, join on the Discord and hit me up there.
Very much. All right, let me know when you go live, starting soon, stuff like that. And
yeah, it is live right now. It's on the starting soon.
Okay, post socials.
Cover.
Easy peasy.
And then I'm going to go take a quick break once you raid me. Or actually, maybe I'll go right before then. And then,
right.
yeah, I'll be back for some bubble farming. I need 80 more bubbles, so.
All right. Pleasure to always talk to you guys. I'm going to miss these discussions, man. We always have like some very high level discussions, and sometimes they take a certain direction. But I feel like it's because all 3 of us have a very, deep rooted passion for Guild Wars 2. We've all connected to it in some way. But hey, it's been fun. I don't know if we'll get to do this one more time before you leave, Enko. But safe travels. Hopefully your deployment is successful, and definitely keep in touch and let me know whenever you're in the area and we can meet up.
Yeah, we'll do.
All right. And Sam,
All right, then.
me and you probably will have a couple more podcasts at some point in this 9 months. So,
Hopefully.
the content.
YouTube collabs too?
Huh?
YouTube collabs maybe? Since you're trying to grow your YouTube channel, maybe it's an occasion.
Yes, I think
We should do stuff.
we should probably collab on YouTube. Definitely agree to that. But where is he leaving
Sam,
to? Eternity. So Enko's actually going for deployment. Somewhere in the Middle East. He can't tell us where, but somewhere in the Middle East.
Sam, don't you have a short link for your YouTube channel?
Possibly, but do I remember which one it is? Nope.
Like, it's not just
is my YouTube channel
youtube.com/c/Sam Majesty.
The channel name changed so many times that I think it is still stuck on the original name that I went with. And
Okay.
I'd rather not use that one.
Oh, well, it
And
might be a little
by-
bit easier to remember than
it's-
UCMJ6RIDTF7.
Yeah.
It's
Just
a brotherhood of the dark kind of stuff, okay? Like I had the name in Dark something, just like Darkbringer and the other Darks. Just I've left that in the shadows, and now I have like light shining upon me. So yeah, I left that name behind.
All right. Well, I'm gonna raid now, since you might want to start one of your Ecto giveaways if you want. So while you go for your break.
Oh,
People-
yeah, I might as well do that.
Yeah. So
I guess if people want to keep asking questions about this stuff, like I'll answer it while I'm doing Super Venture Box, I guess. So if you want to keep the discussions rolling, I guess we can do that via chat on my channel, I guess.
yeah, for sure. All right. Well, it's been fun, guys. Barons Club returns with the two big barons of the game, Sam and Enko, with a huge reputation, and then you got Gildemem, the guy wearing a random crown. Yeah, we'll see you guys on YouTube on this. There'll probably be a giveaway, legendary giveaway. I feel like I'm only doing legendary giveaways for episodes where I actually have actual traders with reputation, just because I feel like those make those episodes more special. Other than that, we're gonna go over to Enko's, and yeah, wish him a happy deployment and everything. And until then, I will see you guys when I see you. No stream tomorrow because it's Monday, but I'll be back on Tuesday and Wednesday. And then don't forget, we actually have our fashion competitions this weekend. So if you want more information on that, !fashion, the YouTube channel trailer, and the Reddit. So there we go. Anyway, till then, love you all. Take care. Sam, Enko, it's been a pleasure.
See ya. It's been a pleasure as well.